Everybody, we're here at Project Next, where we are trying to make the next Indiana free of fear and hate. Have a number of guests coming on today at IDEA, which is the Indiana State Democratic Party, all converging on French Lick, Indiana, to share ideas, talk about what it's going to take to win next year, talk about what our constituents need and how we can represent them best. IDEA has been going on for, anyone know, 144th year. 144th year
retreat in the whole country.
Longest. There we go. Jackson Franklin, our first guest, coming in with the facts. And I think what's going to be special about today, one, it's very hot. Two, we are going to have kind of an inside look at the Democrats who are in power, as well as those who are aspiring to be representative of their constituents. And, you know, we have viewers that are people on the left, people on the right, people in the center. So this is a unique view into that world. And so our first guest today is Jackson Franklin.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Jackson. He's a longtime supporter of Project Next. It's the second time being on the show. And here to help represent Indiana 5. Tell us about Indiana 5 first. Tell us about the people you
Hang on. Do me first. Tim, I got something.
Yeah,
Can you start Instagram? Because I can't do it.
I got Instagram. Yeah, for everybody.
And then I just want to say, hey, Jackson. And I just wanted to tell everybody, I'm so sorry I'm not there. I normally am, but it's my twins' 7th birthday party. And then also my 15-year-old had marching band stuff. So I was double booked. So I just want to let everybody know I miss you all. I have good memories from being there. Oh, it's where I got political COVID. That's what I call it.
I was going to say good memories. You got COVID when you were here last.
I wore a mask and I was vaccinated. And it was when COVID was pretty new still. And I took my mask off on the porch and got it on the porch right where you were at. Isn't that funny? So I wore that mask the whole dinner. I stuck out and then I still got it.
So thank you to our co-founder, Sarah Blessing, for checking in right now. Have a fun time with the kids.
Yeah, and good luck today, and make sure you hydrate and eat enough, Dr. Tim Peck. Take your own advice. And Jackson, I just want to thank you for standing up for the people. You help me sometimes when I'm struggling. It's a little bit scary right now in the country and in the state, and I just appreciate you and your triplet out there, fighting. So, yeah, I'm glad you're on again. It's good to see you. I'm glad you get to meet Tim.
Keep fighting the good fight, guys.
Keep fighting. Bye, everybody. Have a great day. And I'm so proud of all of you all. Bye.
So Jackson here is, you heard a few facts about him, a triplet, someone who serves our country in the military. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But looking to represent the people of Indiana 5. And we always like to start with the people who are trying to represent. And we'll get into your story deep. We all want to know about it. So who are the people of Indiana 5? What do they need? What are you hearing from them? And then we'll talk a little bit about how you want to represent them. But before that, we'll talk about you.
Right. So yeah. District 5, it's the 6 counties just northeast of Indianapolis. So it's Hamilton County, Tipton County, Howard County, Madison County, Delaware, and Grant counties. About 800,000 people. It's being represented by the fascist Victoria Sparks right now, who I'm seeking to replace. Very working class district. We have the Stellantis, we got teachers, a lot of healthcare industries. It's a working class background. I mean, what else can we say? People are scared about their Medicaid. The big bullshit bill. They just cut 17 million people off their Medicaid, and 22 million families are losing access to their food stamps. So that's kind of the main concern about what I'm hearing on the ground in the 5th district. People worried about their Social Security, people worried about like our basic constitutional rights is in the forefront of their mind. But I would say healthcare is definitely, and just the safety of our democracy is probably the top 2 issues for the people in the 5th district.
Got those people currently being represented by Victoria Sparks. We'll talk about her a little bit too in a bit, but let's talk about you. Where you come from, how did you get in this position where you're wearing a suit next to me in French Lick, Indiana?
Right. So I'm 25 years old. I'm Jackson Franklin, as I said. I'm a combat medic in the Indiana Army National Guard and a paramedic. I got in this fight. I've always been very politically active, ever since 2015 when I first heard Bernie Sanders give a speech during his primary run here. Yeah. I've been feeling the burn ever since then, right? And that was 10 years ago. And I call myself the younger, angrier Bernie Sanders of Indiana. fighting to get money out of politics and give people health care. So it's a fight worth fighting. It's the mountain that is before us right now. You know, we're looking up at all that. It's an uphill battle, but it's the battle that must be fought.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
money out of politics. Where's the money? Are you taking money? Who are you taking money from?
Grassroots donations, no corporate donors, no super PACs.
So you've sworn them off.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Corporate money has no place in our politics. That's kind of like the reason why the Democrats keep losing in most progressives' opinions, is because, you know, Indiana ranks 50th out of voter turnout.
Yep.
All right, so
in the off-year election, we always
right.
like to typify that because last year some people came out for a man named Donald Trump, and they actually bumped up beyond 50. But on off-year elections, 50th is where we like to stay.
Right. It's a tragedy, but people are like leaving out the vast chunk of the voting base. If did not vote was a candidate, they would win every single election and most seats all across this nation. What the Democratic Party has got to do is got to give people a reason to vote for something. You can't just be against something. You have to have a vision for the future. And I think what Bernie Sanders did quite well, you see a lot of people like AOC, Bernie Sanders, they're like, how did you vote for Trump and then me? Like AOC had this viral post, you guys might have seen it, like, how did you vote for Trump and then me? We are completely like ideologically opposed. They're just like, I just like that you have a vision, that you're fighting for something. You seem generally anti-establishment. You really have strong convictions about what you're doing. Okay. The Democratic Party needs to hear what the working class of this country and what the state, what they're asking for. They're asking for healthcare and they're asking for a democracy.
So what about you? What would you be doing if you weren't running for Congress right now?
Helping someone else run for Congress.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I've been helping with a lot of different campaigns. I'm from Muncie, go Ball State. But you know, I've helped with, like, I've been policy advisor for a previous congressional candidate, helped out around Muncie, like local, you know, positions there. But the fight is in me. So like, if I wasn't running, I would most definitely be supporting a different progressive that is running, and we're going to flip the 5th district in 2026.
All right. And then people, yeah, we will. And then people are talking about how you have an unfair advantage, that you might have some people out there that can help you run this race, that you have 2 other people, and specifically that you're a triplet.
Oh, right? Yeah. That's what I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I am a triplet. We're not identical, though you're not going to believe me if you saw a picture of us. Jared, I'm Jackson, and my brother Julian, we're all in the military. Jared's an MP, military police. Julian's infantryman. Yeah. Julian and I actually went overseas in the Army together just a couple years ago to Kosovo. It's a small Balkan country. But yeah, we're all very proud to serve. We're all very, passionate. Thank you very much. Yeah. We're all very passionate about politics and making this country better.
Very cool. Let's talk about Victoria Spartz. Who is she? Why does she have power right now? Does she deserve it? How is she going to keep it? How are you going to knock her off?
Right. So Victoria Spartz, it's, as I always say, you know, she's an oxymoron, or it's like, it's ironic, right? She's an immigrant that gets in the way of other immigrants. She's a woman that does not support other women, and she's a Ukrainian that doesn't even support Ukraine. But what does make perfect sense is that she's a millionaire that consistently represents the greedy desires of her millionaire donors, her large corporate donors. We need to represent the working class of this country and not just the business class, the ruling class, like Victoria Spartz does. Yeah. And so, yeah, you know, she voted against the PACT Act, you know, and like I just mentioned, I'm in the military. I know people on the PACT Act, which, if you guys don't know, that gave veterans that were exposed to toxic burn pits overseas the healthcare they needed to live.
Did she give a reason for why she voted against that?
No comment.
Okay.
That's what she said.
No comment.
No comment.
Yeah, she does a lot of that, right?
She voted against gay marriage,
No comment.
to codify gay marriage. She voted against interracial marriage in 2022. All right, she supports all these concentration camps, and that's exactly what they are, being built across this country. They're building another one in Florida, in North Florida. They're coming down in Camp Atterbury. They're making the Speedway Slammer. Camp Atterbury was founded in World War II to fight against fascism, and now it's being used to uphold it. We got to fight back by any means necessary against this blatant fascism and this tyrannical government that's taking away all of our basic constitutional rights.
All right. So, what is the makeup of your district in terms of Republican to Democrat in the last election and how they voted?
Last election, Democrats, congressionally, we underperformed massively.
Yeah.
So the last candidate lost by 18 points. Victoria Sparks got like 59% of the vote, almost 60% of the vote in a district that's supposedly just to be a little bit leaned Republican.
Yeah.
It's definitely a winnable district.
Yeah. So
you just got to fight. That's what 2026 starts in 2025. That's why this campaign's going all across the district. We're, talking to everyone we know, building up this coalition, community organizing. And it's just what did not happen last time around.
Absolutely. So one of our platforms right now here on Project Next for everybody is to understand how gerrymandered, as well as how much voter suppression there is in Indiana in general. And so it's been a frog in water, in boiling water, as they say. There's been this, that has been added on to make it seem like maybe it's not that bad here in Indiana in terms of voter suppression. But we have so many things going on. Anything from the state rep and Senate maps being, completely gerrymandered. One of the worst maps, cheating in the country. One thing people have been saying is that congressionally, it seems like it's not that badly gerrymandered. Maybe that's true, but let's look at the facts here. That 40 to 60 is how we vote, Democrats to Republicans here, and we only have 2 of 9 of our representatives being Democrats.
We should really have like anywhere to 3 or 4 Democrats.
Exactly.
It's so gerrymandered. You look, you're running in the 9th district.
Yep.
That's like the most gerrymandered district in the whole state.
There's proof there in that there's an imbalance for sure, and there's multiple things, including straight party ticket voting. People in Indiana don't realize that we're only one of 6 states that do straight party ticket voting. So that means when you go into the box to vote for Trump or Biden and you just hit D or R, you just go down. And you can be voting for someone completely against your values, or has been ineffective or corrupt, but you don't even know that. It's another thing there. And throughout the day, we'll be talking about more ways that voter suppression is going on, because I think if we can show people that their vote's suppressed, they can realize that we are 50th in people coming out. Yeah. And if we just became 45th, and those people were Democrats, progressives, moderates, right of center, who's, tired of their own party, we would win this election every time.
Yeah, of course. We got to build up that network to get to that point. You got to give people a reason to show up. There's so many times where candidates, or the party largely on the national scene, we abandon very popular issues for no reason at all. We sanitize policy to appeal to this moderate voter. President Biden won 4% of the registered Republican vote in 2020. Mm-hmm. Kamala Harris, her strategy, I'm going to go out with Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney. I'm going to kind of tone down some of the rhetoric a little bit. So she worked really hard to get that swing voter to tip the scale against Trump. Guess how much percent she won with the registered Republican voters?
Barely any,
4%. So the exact same people. So, but there was a lot more people, especially in my age group, that felt like they got abandoned by the party, or by the platform. When 72% of Americans want Medicare for all, and then, but that's most Republicans too. If you go up to your Republican friends and you're like, how much are you paying for healthcare? Mm-hmm. They say some crazy high amount. All right, well, I'm not just fighting for our healthcare. I'm fighting for your healthcare. And explain to them what the big, beautiful bill did. And they're cutting away your healthcare. More Republicans are on Medicaid. This, you're in rural counties. More Republicans are on Medicaid than Democrats. You got to explain to them, we are the party standing up for the working class. Absolutely. They are the party fighting for the billionaire oligarchs that are running this country in the ground. If Elon Musk can spend $280 million in Trump's re-election campaign and send people to space, he has more than enough money than to pay all of his workers a living wage. That's kind of the message that we got to send.
Perfect.
And that's how we're going to win.
You're putting it down. Everybody hears it. Thank you for talking to all of Indiana here. We have a big through Kentuckiana as well in terms of our listenership. We're going to talk about all those points that you said. We will keep telling your name, and we're going to have the host of this conference come on up and speak to us. Thank you so much, everybody. Yes.
Thank you. Go to JacksonFranklinForCongress.com if you want to see more about the policy.
Jackson Franklin. Socials too?
Say what?
What socials are you on?
Socials, just type in Jackson Franklin for Congress. I'm on all the socials. You'll find me.
All right. We have Adam Dickey here, who wears many hats. Today, he is the host of this amazing conference. He is the chair for the Democratic Party in Indiana 9. He is the president, I believe it's called, of the city council in New Albany.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
They call it president? Okay. He is also the chair of the Floyd County Party, and I'm and a husband and a father. And he also has a job somehow in there as well. So
yeah, it's a busy day.
Yeah, thank you for everything you do. Can you tell us about this conference? We just heard it's the 144th and the oldest political conference that exists in the country.
Yeah,
tell us about it.
So this is a really special conference. IDEA stands for the Indiana Democratic Editorial Association. And what a lot of people miss is that back in an earlier day of political culture, newspaper editors were the driving force behind a lot of messaging. And so you would align based on Republican or Democratic principles, and that would be the party and the principles that you would typically put out in your newspaper. And so those Democratic editors would meet here annually, and there are still technically Democratic editors. There's a meeting going on, I believe it's at 1 o'clock of the association. It's a much smaller group. Today, most newspapers don't quite operate under the same nature. It's more of an association at this point now. But they do a great job of, covering Indiana politics, and we appreciate all the work that our journalists are doing every day to try and bring exposure to what's happening. And so this has kind of morphed and become an opportunity in part for us to also share and communicate with some of the reporters that are able to be here. I know that Adam Wren is here, Brian Howie is here. We've got some others from various networks. And we've also, of course, got yourself and Dana Black, who are doing podcasts. We've got new media, if you will, that's being used. So it's a great opportunity for folks to come collect with Democratic leaders, collect with the activism that's happening across our state, and kind of see what's happening and going on in Indiana politics and Democratic politics.
Okay, it's a good history lesson there. And then and the press is here. Who are all these people that are sitting out here? Where do they come from? Why are they here?
Yeah.
How do they even find out about this conference?
So this is the modern iteration of this is organized by our Indiana Democratic Party. And I know I want to call her up here if I can, but Dana Colbert is our executive director. And she is the go-getter that I work with to make this stuff happen. We'll make room for her, right?
Come on in here. Here, you got a seat.
Thanks, Kevin.
Dana.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
So Dana does a great job at running our Democratic Party with our state chair. And as part of this, we operate this conference as a piece of our program. It has fundraising components. For example, there was a rather rousty round of golf going on yesterday. And then we have other components, too, that include today's sessions that are training, the O'Bannon Innovation Series, where we have different critical issues. We have innovative tools, all kinds of information being exchanged with our activists. And so some of the folks that you're looking out here as an audience are members of campaign teams. They're candidates themselves. They are also just Democratic activists, people who are active at the local level, who want to learn how to do some of the things that can help make our candidates win and put them in the best position to win in the next election.
And for our listeners, because a lot of people who don't know about this conference aren't necessarily political in terms of part of the party, but we have a lot of listeners here. If they want to become part of this next year in some way, are they invited? Or
of course.
How do you engage?
Of course. We have through this website of the Indiana Democratic Party, we have a place where it's advertised the dates. It's generally always the third weekend in August, except for when there's a national convention.
Okay.
And then Dana and I, we get to play around with the calendar a little bit to figure out when we can make it all work. Last year, of course, we had national convention, so IDA was the first weekend in August. Right. The other ways that people can learn about this is we do put out through our social media and other channels information about the conference. Dana, do you want to talk a little bit more about some of that process?
Yeah, so we have, obviously, like Adam said, we have it on our website, the information. We do send out emails as well. We have a weekly newsletter called The Kernel of Truth. and that has some key things that you need to know that are going on in the state, as well as once we get closer to the dates, then we start advertising for that. And as we get more of our training scheduled, then we'll put those up and put those in the kernel as well.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
And what is your title exactly?
Yes, so
I'm trying
I'm
to get people's titles right.
Yeah, no, you're good. I'm the executive director of the Indiana Democratic Party.
Executive director. Okay. And how does one become the executive director?
That's a good question.
How does Anushka over here apply to become executive director?
Well, I have to leave. But aside for that, I've been involved in politics, honestly, since Trump 1.0. But prior to that, I was a project manager. And so I think that personally, I think that bringing that organizational skills is something that's really key to making sure that everything in the party runs together. And then I was also the Hamilton County chair, and I was part of Hamilton County Young Dems. So I got involved in politically there. I think really we need a mesh of organizational skills and people who understand politics to really be able to execute this. Not knocking people who haven't done politics before, because I didn't know politics until I decided to get involved after Trump. You can learn, but having that base level of understanding will just make it go smoother.
Yeah, right. And in terms of growth of the Democratic Party here in Indiana, what are the plans of the Democratic Party as the executive director? How are we recruiting? How are we getting the message out there to win votes? Yes, and represent people's interests, etc. What's the plan to get people in?
So we actually, the DNC and ASDC, which is our state party association, we just partnered together and we're doing a SWOT analysis and strategic plan for every state party and territory. So we just completed our SWOT analysis interviews 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So we're waiting on getting those back, and then we'll develop that strategic plan. But in the meantime, as we're waiting on that, then we are working on trying to contact voters who sat out this past election, understand really deep dive why, get that data. As I was project manager for most of my time as market research,
right.
So I'm a data person.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited to see those and be able to give that messaging out to folks. As far as the other messaging, we're listening. We are trying to get our TikTok going again. I am too much online.
Yeah.
I am a chronically online person, so I try.
Are you a doom scroller?
I am a doom scroller.
Yeah.
I am TikTok. I will fall asleep.
Have you
watching
seen good
TikTok.
things? Have you seen any Taylor Swift stuff recently?
I saw it, but I was also here, so I haven't been able to watch the podcast yet.
Okay.
But I am.
You don't have a full appreciation of the new album yet.
I know. I stayed up till 12:12.
You
I
did.
was waiting for it to refresh,
Right.
and then we all crashed the website.
Yeah.
But I haven't been able to listen to a podcast yet. But I am excited.
Okay.
Probably make my husband listen to it on the drive home.
Got it. All right, thank you. Anything else you want to add that people should know?
Well, let me just share this. One of the ways that people can get involved is obviously by stepping up and volunteering to be a precinct committee person.
Okay.
And we have a number of counties right now who are looking for individuals willing to step in and do that work.
And what is a precinct?
A precinct person is literally the base level of party organization. They are essentially the board of directors of their local Democratic Party at the county level.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep us in touch with their neighborhood. They let us know about things that are going on, events, activities, things that our candidates can go to and be part of. They go out door to door with those candidates, with our voter registration drives, and just really try and recruit people into the party, understand what's going on at that very local level.
Yep.
The other thing that is an opportunity this year is we just came from a state committee meeting where we approved our new delegate selection plan for the next state convention in 26.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we did was try to keep that number elevated. I think we've got 2,500 delegates coming to the state convention next summer.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are someone out there and you are wanting to be more involved, that's an excellent opportunity to get more involved in the process. You have to run. It could be depending on the county and how they organize their delegate selection.
Uh-huh.
It could be by district or at large, but you have to run for those positions in the primary.
And how are they contacting someone to get involved with this?
You can contact your county chair.
Okay.
You can also go and file directly at your county clerk's office.
Okay.
And these are positions that would go on the ballot as part of the primary ballot selection process. And then at the conclusion, you'll be either elected or appointed. You'll come to the convention, and you will also help us with major decisions, such as our platform for 2026, as well as selecting candidates like the Secretary of State. that will run in the November election next year.
You can get your voice actually not only heard but counted.
Yep.
And so again, so county chair, so a lot of people don't understand or know
the hierarchy of it.
The hierarchy. Who is that? How do you get in touch with your county chair? I assume there's 92 of them.
There's 92 county chairs. The easiest way is, if you don't know anybody at the local level, go to the state party website. We have all of the county chairs listed there that you can reach out to, contact their email, their phone numbers. If you don't have a good connection or you're not hearing from someone, sometimes problems happen. You can always also call us at the Indiana Democratic Party or reach out to your district leadership, and we'll be more than happy to help you out with that and get you in touch with the right people.
Yeah, I will caveat, please send an email. Don't call me. We have so many phone calls that come in, and I'm doing a lot of other things. It is so much easier for me to reply to an email.
That's right. That's a good idea.
Emails are great. Okay, cool. So any last words that you'd like before? I know you have a lot to do here.
We've got some more training. I've got to go to do a chair roundtable, and then we've got the Lee Hamilton dinner this evening. 200 plus coming to see Lieutenant Governor Coleman from Kentucky. So it should be a really good time. And I know folks here are looking forward to it, right? There we go.
And so for those people who may be under 30, who's Lee Hamilton?
Lee Hamilton, the dinner is named in honor of our longtime member of Congress, Lee H. Hamilton. Lee's still with us. He's in his 90s now, up at IU, one of the, I guess, key people for the Center on Congress up there. But Lee was in Congress from 1965 until 1999, was instrumental in things like the Iran-Contra hearings, was a noted person for foreign affairs, was considered for the vice presidential nomination at least 3 times throughout the 80s and 90s. Just a fabulous individual who, as someone who grew up with him, he really taught me what being a true public servant was about. It's not about the glitz and the glamour. Sure, it's nice to have some of that sometimes, but it's about serving others. It's about going where they're at, listening to what they need, trying to respond to those needs, and make our community the best place to live, work, and raise a family. You know, that's what this is ultimately about. You know, we can get high-minded about all the stuff, but at the end of the day, what we need to always be remembering is that we're trying to make our communities the best places for our people.
One story putting these two things together is that Lee, Congressman Hamilton, told me that he gave his phone number to anyone he ever met. And it encouraged me to do the same thing. They didn't have email at the time, and so I've been giving that phone number. And you're right, it's a lot of phone calls.
It's a lot of phone calls.
It's a lot of phone calls.
A lot of phone calls, and a lot of people have a lot of time. So I try to keep them brief, but I can spend more time sending you an email.
But it typifies, you know, that way of doing politics that we're trying to get back to is really knock on people's doors, get with your precinct captains who know their own communities, be accessible to people. You know, in our district, we have an accessibility problem with our current congresswoman. And so
one office in Salem, and never seems to be around.
No, and
I live in the 5th, so I also have that issue.
Yeah, so. you get the same problem.
No public appearances, no debates, nothing, right? So, you know, trying to get away from that, show what it is to be listening to people and represent them. So thank you for all the work you're doing. Thank you for continuing to recruit and grow this party, let people know what we stand for and what we care about. So I appreciate both of you.
Yeah, good to see you today.
All right. Nick Marshall's coming up. How's it going, Nick?
Hi, Tim.
How are you?
I am good.
You are running for?
Indiana State Senate for District 45.
45.
Yes.
45. Okay, so we'll talk about yourself. I want to hear your story. Everybody wants to hear your story. But again, what we like to talk about are who are the people of Indiana 45? What do they care about? What do they need in terms of representation?
So I am running for Indiana State Senate for District 45. That is all of Clark and a little bit of Floyd, which is New Albany. And so what we're starting to hear is just like Mayor Triever said this morning, that people are going to they're feeling the burden of inflation, right? Not only as we have kids, we got to pay for daycare, we got to pay for great groceries, we've got to pay for those amenities. And so some of those amenities are going to be starting to be strained with SB1 going on.
SB1, tell people what SB1
Senate Bill 1, and that is the property tax relief. But really, it's temporary relief. Let me say that.
Mm-hmm.
So in this time, we see, which we saw in COVID, the food pantries are getting hit.
Yep.
And so I'm seeing everyday cars, nice cars, pull up the food pantries because they're trying to provide for their family. And a little bit about me, I was in State's care since I was an infant, but if it wasn't for two wonderful sets of foster parents, I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Mm-hmm.
One of those was a farmer and a teacher. I grew up on a 40-acre farm and got chased by cows and chased by a bull. And we fed the cattle before we left to go to school at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was at a family in Louisville, Kentucky, which is right across the bridge from Jefferson County. There was a caregiver and a veteran. And so that veteran said yes to our country. And then when I turned 17, he said yes to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they were able to get me graduated from high school and then go on to college. So everything that they have done for me, I want to give back to my community. And I know what that's like to, want a meal, want a home. And that's what people want.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm seeing. And they want someone that's going to show up for the community. And I started that right in 2020 when COVID started. I started delivering to those food pantries. And they kept asking me why I was showing up.
Right.
And I said, finally, after a year, I didn't say anything. I said, I've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
I've been here before. And I want to make sure that I can help my community.
Yeah.
And so that's the piece. That's what's going on. We want someone that's going to show up and represent them, and not just be there for a vote.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Who's representing the people of Indiana 45 State Senate 45 right now?
That is Chris Garton. He's been there for, I believe, 2 terms. He's not crazy, but I ran against him in 22. And so we both come from a similar background. He was in the foster care system.
Mm-hmm.
He grew up on the farm, but he served our country too.
Yeah,
So I respect him. And so when we concluded that race in 22, I came up short, but I still had to stay in the fight and fight for my community.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a mutual respect for one another. So that's who it is, Chris Garton.
Mm-hmm.
If he decides to rerun for his 3rd term, that is up to him. We haven't heard anything yet, but that's who commands the seat right now.
Sure. Okay. And what's his voting record versus how you would vote? Give us a choice.
Yes. So he was the co-writer for SB1. And now we are seeing the effects of that. Clark County has now had a hit to their budget.
And for the people,
Yeah.
Clark County is where Jeffersonville is,
It's
Charlestown, Clarksville,
Charlestown, Clarksville, Jeffersonville, Odessa, Bartholomew, and also the county, the district goes into New Albany as well.
Okay, good.
So all those municipalities now and the county are being hit because of their budget.
Mm-hmm.
And so we saw in New Albany that recently they had to kind of start taking amenities away. You're recycling.
Yep.
Okay. And then in Jeffersonville, they wanted to do a fire territory. All right. And that's the right thing to do. Try to save lives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But when SB1 came down, they had to dissolve it. But also understand that with that happening, there were some hits that had to be possibly made if that fire territory went through.
Sure.
But
so
that's
just
what's
understanding
going on.
SB1 for people. So as I understand it, it's kind of shifting tax burden onto more local areas,
Yes.
onto municipalities and counties, away from tax and lowering the taxes on the state level.
Yes.
But so that means if you want to keep the things that you have in your community, you're going to need to tax people through the municipality or county.
That is correct.
And some counties are struggling with, okay, so do we raise taxes? It'll be bad for people, or do we not raise taxes? And that'll be bad for people because we have to cut services. Yeah. And in Floyd County, New Albany, as you said, they're looking to privatize their recycling program,
Yes.
which will markedly decrease its impact, as one of the examples from this bill. So,
yes.
Is that fair? Is that you have anything to add to that? Push back on that?
I don't think it's necessarily fair because we have to offer that quality of life, we see that Jeffersonville is one of the top 5 cities in Indiana that is growing. We get a lot of individuals that come from Louisville. And that's what we did when we moved from Louisville over to Jeffersonville to get more bang for their buck with housing. And now the situation with the dissolving of that fire territory, now Utica has decided to do a volunteer fire station. And so with that, it's a makeshift situation.
Yeah.
But also I'm talking to firefighters because of the corruption, not only with SB1, we know about the corruption in Southern Indiana, but
Jamie Knoll, for those
yes.
who want to Google
Yes.
something and have fun today.
But those EMS runs, okay, and talking to a firefighter in Jeffersonville, he said, we got to start teaching our citizens to do CPR.
Yep.
Because we're going to have them keep
May I
them
share
alive.
a story about that?
Yeah.
So I live in Clark County, as you'd be representing me.
Yes.
I live up in New Washington, and my neighbor across the street, his wife had a heart issue in which she passed out and her heart rate went very, very low, and she was not conscious. They called the 911, and police couldn't show up. EMS couldn't get to them, and the local fire department wasn't answering at the time. And so just the resources weren't there. And so he was alone with her for 45 minutes while she was unconscious. Police eventually got there and helped. And then they got a transport to meet EMS as they were coming up 62 to get to them. Took about over an hour to get to anyone that could help them. So scary. It's right across the street from me. My wife and child are home right now in that same 911 call if they need it. So, I mean, this idea of pushing the tax burden onto the local areas to say we're going to make you figure this stuff out when normally we have a state system that already exists. It's scary and it's real and it's happening. And so, I just wanted to share that personal story of what's going on right now in your district.
Yes, and that's right. And it's your home too.
Yeah.
It's your home. And so, and that's the scary part. What are we going to do? Okay. When these amenities or if they don't hire enough fire people to get those runs stated, what's going to happen? And so it's a thing that we have to think about. And so I really hope that when these problems come to the door, that we can solve these together. And it's going to take us to that. And so my step is to say, hey, this is what's going on in our county. And we're about solutions. And so I think with Jeffersonville and Utica and also with the surrounding people, they were trying to solve a problem that had been kicked down the road for so long. And so we are Democrats. We are trying to solve the issues and we have solutions, but we get hindered by the Republicans sometimes. So don't think that there are not Democrats out there fighting for you every day. And that's what we have to realize.
So we're here at IDEA, a large Democratic conference of statewide Democrats converging on French Lick. These are the insiders in many ways. How do we get more people into this vote?
Just like me, I was not involved in politics whatsoever, but it was my little brother that kicked my butt. Okay. Yeah. He said, Nick, look at you up there with high level people, because I always help people in the background. And then when it helped someone, I moved on to the next thing. But he said, you have the ability to make real change and help individuals. I need you to do something, Nick, do something. And so that's how I went on the trajectory of signing up for office and being on the ballot. And often the weird question is, what are you, a lawyer? I go, no, I'm just an everyday person that just wants to help their community.
Sure.
And so, but with that, with my job, I work in education. We always ask the families we work with 2 questions: what's going on and how can we help? And so, if we just start there and let them see what's going on, let them tell us what's going on, we can meet people where they are. And so that's the true meaning of community. And so that's what I do. I show up, I ask, how can I help, and what's going on?
Just show up, ask how you can help. It's good words of wisdom. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you for running. Any last words that you want to say?
Once again, Democrats are fighting for you. We have Jefferson City Council that is Democratic ran, Clarksville, New Albany, and we got Mayor Teresa Hodges as well as Representative Wendy Danchester fighting at the State House. Put me there, and I can fight for the everyday Hoosier, and we can make things better for you. We can keep that quality of opportunity, the quality of life, and your quality of your education. So that's most important, because if it wasn't for education, I wouldn't be, and the foster parents that were there, I wouldn't be here right now talking to you. So I recommend that you go to HoosiersForNickMarshall.com, donate to the campaign. Every little bit helps, because we can get from that 38%, what I did in 2022, to that 51% where I'm up at the State House, and we can change so many different things. So thank you very much, Tim.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Everything you're doing.
Have a good one.
Please join us.
How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Good to
This
see
is
you.
Hunter Collins. What is it? State Rep
District 68.
District 68. And you are in the corner of Indiana 9.
Yeah, it's kind of the
Lawrenceburg area, right? Where
yeah.
it's Lawrenceburg, Aurora.
Lawrenceburg, Aurora, all the way down to Vivi, where I can't remember her name now. Kat Von D lives.
Okay, where Kat Von D is.
Yeah, so
And the Big Duck is over there.
right, yeah. So kind of the no man's land, forgotten part of Indiana. Sometimes people lump us in with Cincinnati
You're right.
because that's where we get most of our news from. So,
Let's talk about that. Let's just go straight to it. So I'd like to talk about the people of the district before we talk about the people who are trying to represent them. In Indiana, we have multiple media markets. Where you are, it is Cincinnati news.
So
And,
yeah.
That is unique to that corner of the state. And it kind of, as I understand it, cuts it off in terms of the Indianapolis news and what's going on in the rest of the state. Does that make a personal identity for that area? Or is there a desire to cut down those ties and people feel more like they're Hoosiers? Tell me about the people there.
It's a bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Because our media market is split between Cincinnati and Louisville in my district,
Okay.
right? So the south part of the region down near VV gets Louisville, and then up where I live in Aurora, we get Cincinnati. So a lot of people in Dearborn County specifically feel a lot more tied to Cincinnati because we are technically considered a suburb of Cincinnati. But because of that, they've lost touch with what's happening in Indianapolis.
Okay.
A lot of folks just don't know what's going on at our state house, and that's a huge issue that we have to work through to educate folks on because these things are affecting their everyday lives. And with things like Senate Bill 1, that's hugely affected our county and Dearborn County.
And I know your area is struggling a lot with the school meals. Is that right?
Yeah. So when Governor Braun cut the Sunbucks program for us this year, that program fed nearly 700,000 hungry kids all across the state. And there were many, many families in our district that relied on the Sunbucks program to help feed their kids during the summer. Coming from my background, I was raised by a single mother who raised me and my two older brothers. I was the kid that was on free lunches my entire life. I was the kid who went to the food bank once a month just with my mom because that's what she had to do so we could get by. I know what that struggle is like. I know what it feels like and how important those resources are. And so we've had so many families, unfortunately, that have had to go without due to or find alternatives. And thankfully, our community has been stepping up to help provide to fill in some of those gaps. But it's a completely avoidable issue.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, cool. So you gave us a little bit about your story as a younger man, as a child. Why are you running? How did you get into this? What made you decide to step up and make this happen?
Yeah, so my story, like I said, my mom raised me, and my mom raised me under under the best circumstances that she could put us into, right? And she taught me very valuable lessons growing up. One, that it's always best to give rather than to receive. I spent countless evenings of my childhood with my mother cooking and delivering meals to elderly and sick folks in our congregation growing up. I spent so many nights talking to folks who had lived very long, storied lives full of struggles, and they told me those stories and inspired me.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned so much from those folks. And that really built a desire to serve others.
Okay.
In my adult life, I got into the labor movement. I began helping to organize a union at Amazon's largest air hub in the world. And I've been in that fight now for 2 years.
Where's that?
That's in northern Kentucky at the CVG airport.
Okay.
It's a critical hub for Amazon, where I believe it's somewhere around 60% of Amazon's packages flow through this building.
Mm-hmm.
And Amazon's the labor fight of our generation, right? It's been the Goliath that hasn't been able to be taken down. And so I got involved in that because I believe that the folks working at Amazon deserve better wages, better benefits, and a safe working environment where they can grow and build a career at. I long for the days where someone can work a job like that with dignity until retirement. And that's what I think we need to get back to. And that's why I feel so strongly about the labor movement.
Okay. And who's representing 68 right now?
District 68 is represented by Garrett Bascom, who is a freshman legislator. He is a year older than I am, 29 years old. And he doesn't have that much of a record yet, but the record that he does have is not a good one. He voted to criminalize homelessness. He voted for Senate Bill 1 that cut our public school funding. He voted to give more benefits to public defenders, of which he is one.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes, very good money doing that from the state already. But he benefited himself instead of fighting for the people of District 68.
Okay.
And that's really the whole premise of this campaign, is that we're fighting to make real progress for real people, not just the powerful few.
Sure.
So he's shown time and time again that he will toe the party line, that he'll fight for his wealthy donors before he'll ever fight for the working class folks of District 68.
Yep.
And that's where we want to flip that narrative, and we want to show people that there is a candidate that is fighting for them.
Sure.
And that is focused on the issues that matter to them.
And so it's great. How do we widen the boat? How do we deepen the boat? How do we get more people into this boat of the Democratic Party?
Yeah.
You talked about Republicans kind of towing the line. What is that? What's that mean for you as a Democrat, and how you relate to the party? How do you get people to come toward the flame?
I think we have to give folks something to vote for, not just against.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have to have a strong vision for what the future of Indiana is and what it should be, rather than just a reactionary, this is what my opponent has done, and so that's why you should vote for me, so we can just get him out. We have to have a strong vision. And that's why we're campaigning on things like building 100,000 permanently affordable housing units in the state of Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're running on fully funding our public schools and special education, universal pre-K, and getting access to affordable health care in every corner of the state.
Mm-hmm.
Those are issues that matter to the folks, not just in our district, but all across the state, especially working class folks who feel the squeeze of an affordability crisis that could have been avoided.
Sure.
So I think we bring people into our movement by giving them something to believe in. We give them hope, and we show them that there's an option. This race has been so uncompetitive for so long that folks don't realize that there is that there could be another option, that there could be a candidate besides the one that has an R next to their name that could fight for what they want and need.
Yeah.
And so I think, by focusing on the issues that matter to folks, we can bring them in. And that's how we built this policy platform. As we went out there and we talked to people and we asked them, what are you concerned about? And they said they were concerned about affordable housing. I can't tell you how many people I talked to who were, parents of adult children who said, hey, my 26-year-old son still lives at home. He's been saving for years now to try to buy a home, and he still can't afford one.
Yeah.
And that's a major concern.
I spent a lot of time in your area speaking to a lot of people, and affordable housing is almost invariably part of the things that they tell me about, if not the first thing that they tell me about. It seems to be a big problem where you are.
Yeah, and it's not just first time home buyer friendly housing. It's senior housing.
Yeah,
it's rentals, right? an issue in our district where luxury apartments are being built that folks can afford that are working class down there. And so we have to utilize our resources in a wise way to cater to the folks that are actually living here and are building our tax base down here, right? Because that's how we grow sustainably. Is we have to invest in our community, we invest in our future and our kids, and we give folks a reason to stay. Unfortunately, Indiana's #1 export is college students.
Yeah.
So, kids come here, they get a great education, and they leave, unfortunately.
That is a good bridge to our next guest. So before we get there, we're having the president of IU Dems come on. So it's like you knew. But, leave us with, how do we find you, and any last words that you want to tell the people here. And remember that it's not just Democrats on this watching here. Lots of centrists, independents, right of center type people. We even have kind of MAGA people watching and taking a look at what we're doing here. And we're kind of giving this inside look into the Democratic Party for them. What do you want them to know?
I want you to know that whether you are a registered Democrat, Republican, independent, whatever, there's a place for you in this movement. There's a place for you in a working class movement that's focused on the issues that matter to you. You deserve a representative that listens first and speaks second. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to listen, and I'm here to work with you to address the issues that are important to you. So I'd love to have your support. You can find me at huntercollins.org. Find me there. If you're able to, please consider donating to the campaign. We are a grassroots movement that we are building here. So every little bit helps. Sign up for our newsletter so you can keep up to date with the campaign. And find us on social, Hunter, the #4 Indiana, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I believe we're on Blue Sky as well now. So we've got some different areas you can find us with, connect. I'd love to hear from you. I put my cell phone number out on all my material because I want folks to call me and text me and ask me questions. So I'm always here, and I'm here to fight for you. And
we call that the Hamilton, if you've been watching from earlier. So thank you so much. Thank you for being in the fight, everything that you've done for your area.
Thank you.
And we'll make it happen. Thank you.
Yep.
Nushka, the esteemed president.
Hello.
The esteemed president.
Oh, I look so short next to you.
Oh, come down here. The esteemed president of IU Democrats. What does that mean? How do you become the president of the IU Democrats?
That's a good question.
What are the IU Democrats?
Yeah, so we are one of the biggest college Democratic groups in Indiana. Essentially just act as a branch of the Democratic Party to college students, a lot of them who either haven't had a reason to be involved or haven't had a way to be involved, and just kind of bridge that divide and make sure that we're listened to as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're kind of representing the Democrats of IU. Like, who goes to IU? Who are these people? Like, we like to start with people's constituencies. Like, you have a constituency.
Yeah, technically.
And who are these people that you're representing?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, what I love about IU Bloomington especially is that it's a little bit of everybody. You have the stereotypical Kelly kids who might be from more, red backgrounds, or at least going in that direction. But then you also have amazing liberal arts students. You have poli-sci students. You have a little bit of everybody. And I think, especially as you get into the later years of college, you kind of start realizing, one, the job market is really scary right now. The idea of a living wage, even for a college-educated graduate, is really hard to accomplish. And when you start seeing those things, obviously politics comes to you, and that's when you get involved. And so this is the space for everyone to start learning. That's really important to us because I've been doing this for a little bit. I started getting involved in high school. Not everyone has done that. And not everyone has had the opportunity to do that. And so we're here to teach you how to do it, how to go door to door, how to work with campaigns, how to do fundraising, how to do networking, but then also about the issues themselves. So we do weekly meetings. A lot of them are education based. Here's what's going on. It's really complicated. It's a lot. We're going to boil it down. We're going to answer questions. We get in a lot of great people to help lead those. And
Very cool. So you said job market's hard for people graduating right now.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to have a job right now. Why is it hard?
You need experience. You need. There's a lot of niche industries that are kind of disappearing because of AI or because of offshoring and things like that. I can't pretend. A lot of
changing job market. Yeah.
Can't pretend to be an expert on it.
No, I mean, so where I'm getting at is that the seems like unemployment is very low right now. No, that's all right. It seems like unemployment is very low right now. You're going to be graduating into a job market where unemployment is low. People have jobs, but it seems like there's not necessarily jobs for you.
Yeah, that's one of them. Especially in kind of the liberal arts world, a lot of that is being moved to AI because they think it can replace us. But also with the unemployment number, it's a lot of dejected people. So people that were on the job market didn't get a job, but kind of have had to give up because there isn't jobs left, at least, especially in certain industries. A
lot of insecurity in what's happening in with businesses. Not sure what's going to happen tomorrow with tariffs or economic policy, and so job creation is very low, as we just saw in the latest numbers last month. And the firing of the person who puts those statistics together by Donald Trump.
That's one way to fix it.
That's a way to fix it. So it has been it's an interesting job market for youth, for people who are graduating college to go in. You don't have experience and there's not job turnover. Where do you fit in? And that is going to be a problem of a generation that we're going to feel 20 years from now. So it's something we need to work on big time. So tell us about yourself. How did you become IU president? How did you even find yourself at IU?
Great question. So something a little bit funny about me, depending on who you're asking, not funny to my parents, is that I was going to go pre-med for practically my whole life. Up until junior year of high school. I was on the medical route. It's going to be you. Great for them. Stereotypes are based on truth. And so that was the plan. And I think it got to about, 2018 is when I first found Mayor Pete. Loved Mayor Pete immediately, as a lot of us do, because of the youth, because of the energy, because he was an openly gay member in Indiana who was doing the work and making himself very visible without that being, obviously that wasn't the only thing that he was. He was incredibly well experienced in all of that. And so that was when I first got excited about politics. Followed that presidential year, was, excited, but we're still in a post-Donald Trump world for that period of time. And now we're in a Donald Trump world again. And so started paying more attention, just seeing everything that's going on and how much work there is to be done, especially here in Indiana. So I got onto state house races in my junior year of high school, maybe a little bit earlier. Just seeing where I could be useful. Found out that I really like door knocking. Liked talking to voters, being public facing.
What do you like talking to voters and door knocking? A lot of people are scared of that. And it's a big belief of mine right now in the environment that we're in, especially because we do have all this voter suppression in Indiana that, Democrats can win, progressive candidates can win if people come out and vote. And so, door knocking and taking the effort to go out and actually talk to people, listen to them is amazing. You've done a lot of that, I am aware. What motivates you to keep going out there and sweating and making that happen?
Yeah, so I've been in a lot of different districts too, in different areas. And so I've got a good mix of what door knocking was like. I'm from District 5 originally. We had Jackson on here earlier. Up there, it's a lot of, I didn't know there was Democrats. I didn't know that other people around me were running. I didn't know that there was actually a choice, as you kind of mentioned. And so for those conversations, I love being like, we can actually win this. We just need you, a Democrat, you, a dejected voter, to actually go out and vote. Here's how you can help. Here's what you can do. And make sure you get to ballot box. Bring a couple friends. That's those conversations that are really rewarding because you see hope for the first time in a long time. Here in our district, District 9, once I got down to Bloomington, it was less of that and a lot more of genuine conversation of, even if you think that you're completely separate from me, whether that be an old white man or a harsh, hardline Republican or whatever it is, we can have a genuine conversation. And I love those. Even though they're terrifying and I've had to build myself up to them a lot. I'm, believe it or not, introverted by nature. And so there's a lot of hype self-hyping that has to happen.
But do you mind stopping and tell us how you found your voice. I know this story.
It's a good story.
I'd love to hear it.
So this is less of a surprise. I'm pretty argumentative. I joined debate in high school in freshman year. And that was the first time that I had all the opinions and was actually able to voice them. And so that's how I gained a lot of knowledge with politics, with international relations, which is what I do now. But also just getting up and talking in front of people, being able to voice whatever thoughts I had. I'd not been able to do that before. And even just like sitting down, spur of the moment, being in a podcast. I mean, this freshman year me would not have been able to do this by any means. And I had a really good debate partner, and we grew together. And now I ended up being, this is probably my proudest achievement, I ended up being president of debate by my senior year. We won state 2 years in a row at Carmel, which had never happened before. And so that's how I found my voice. Of just, it's all about helping each other. I had the tools available to me, and that's how I kind of used them and ended up doing this. It's also why I'm doing politics instead of medicine. Because I can actually talk now.
Maybe that's why I'm doing politics instead of medicine.
There you go.
So, no, it's inspiring. It's an inspiring story. How was the UN this summer?
It was really, really cool. So for July, I got to be out in New York City working with an NGO. Quick little shout out. It was Youth and Students for Peace, which is a lot of what I like to do here in Indiana as a college dem, which is making sure that youth have a voice at the negotiating table, because a lot of times youth are victims in policy and not actually actors. And I think we have a lot of good things to say. I think we have a lot of perspective that older people don't necessarily have. And so having a group that specifically empowers people to come in early and show that they have a voice and that the initiatives, the ideas they have can happen. That was really, really cool. And coincidentally, it happened during a conference that was going on at the UN. And so I got to be at the UN a lot, which was a dream for me. It was really, really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say I've seen you work. Last summer, we worked a lot together. I've seen you, and we worked a lot together at county fairs. And I've just seen you fearlessly go talk to people.
I don't know about fearlessly.
Maybe there's fear inside of you, but you seem pretty brave from the outside. Go and talk to people who, MAGA hats, things on their shirts that are literally offending, would be offending something that you identify with, and talk to those people with heart, compassion, understanding, listening, and disagreement while standing up to your principles while advancing a conversation, even if it's not advancing to a vote, advancing a conversation a little bit. It's really admirable. It's rare. And it's a real big strength.
Thank you.
What are you going to do with that?
Great question. Speaking of the job market, no idea right now. I genuinely believe that politics doesn't happen without conversation. If you're just there for the vote, you're going to give up on a whole lot of people that just haven't gotten there yet. I was talking to some people yesterday here at the conference, and one of the things that resonated is that you can't include someone, you can't talk to someone if you don't know they exist.
Right.
If you've never met someone that looks like me, why would you include me? Why would you think to? And so being the first person, if it's the first, bisexual person, if it's the first brown person that they've talked to about politics, then I just need to make a good impression.
Yeah.
I want to be there with empathy, because I understand that people vote how they do for a reason.
Sure.
It's really easy to demonize a whole group of people. And I've been there myself. It's really easy to do that, especially right now. But I think if you don't talk to them, you won't understand why they voted what they did, the way that they did. And if you don't know why they're voting, then you're never going to be able to earn their vote. You're never going to be able to help those people. And so that's why I go up to the MAGA hats when I can, when it feels safe enough. Usually when Tim's there too. He's a big guy, So I want to understand, because I grew up in Indiana. I've been here my whole life, and we in the same community have been raised to have completely different ideals. So that means they had a different life than me. And if I don't understand their life, I'm never gonna be able to actually talk to them. I'm not gonna be able to earn their vote. I'm not gonna be able to understand why the policies that are happening still happen.
How old were you when Obama was elected?
First time I was 3 years old. This is a good story.
You were 3 years old.
I was 3 years old. This is a good story.
Tell the story.
So I said I got my start in high school. Technically, I've been campaigning since I was 3 years old, because it's my parents' favorite story. I would see the Obama ads on TV, and at the end you do like the endorsement message.
Right.
So I would go around saying, "I'm Barack Obama and I approve this message," like as a 3-year-old. And at some point it turned into, "I'm Anushka Pandey and I approve this message," just as a bit. I had no idea what I was talking about.
Right.
So technically I said I was going to be president from then. Not where we've gone now, but
So-
that's what I remember.
I mean, it was the last time we had a statewide presidential win here in Indiana. Joe Donnelly was the last senator.
Yeah.
There's an energy around that time. You, I mean, obviously got in that energy even as a 3-year-old. You've been living in Indiana that has had representation that has become more and more supermajority toward Republican GOP and a more extremist side of the GOP as we've continued on. So, how does that feel? How do we get back to that other feeling?
Yeah.
One thing I'll say on this as well as you're thinking about an answer is often, you called me out on this. I often talk about, how Clinton and Gingrich worked together to balance the budget or, make the great society for Lyndon Johnson. He needed Republican votes. And you're like, I was not around for any of those people.
I don't remember.
So, tell me, how does that feel? How do we get back to that feeling?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. Absolutely. Because I started paying attention when I needed to. I know people that have, grew up in different states that maybe were tuned in earlier, at least to some degree, and I didn't need to because this was a safe space. I knew that the president was a decent man at the end of the day, was someone who cared about what people thought, whose opponents respected him. We've gone so far away from that. I look back to debates between Obama and Romney, or if not earlier than that, with McCain, and there was genuine respect.
Right.
And I think that's the core of what is happening now, which is that you look at people across the aisle and they might as well be a different species. Yeah. That's not how politics works in my head. And so in terms of getting back to that, I think we need to, this hurts me to say a little bit because, the young Dems are all about paving a new path, which I think is important. But I think also we need to see what worked. And one, it was conversation, like you said, but also what I think was really key about Obama's race specifically that I've read up on is that it was a genuine movement. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just party people doing party things. It was involving college students. It was creating an actual infrastructure across the state that got people out, that got volunteers trained, and it ended up in high voter turnout in a blue state, which obviously has not happened since 2008. And I think we need to get back to that.
Sure.
I think infrastructure is the number one priority for the Democratic Party right now.
Yep.
Because we have a lot of people that are sitting around, a lot of talented people that just don't know how to help, that haven't been trained to help.
Or even reach out and then don't have someone to say, okay, I got something for you right now.
100%.
Let me get you on this thing.
Yeah.
So related to that, this realization the other day that Indiana 9's greatest wealth, greatest resource is the fact that we graduate talented, smart people out of Bloomington, as well as Indiana 9. We have Hanover, we have IUS, we have Ivy, but we have this enormous group of people over there in Bloomington being graduated.
The best graduates in the state, if I might add.
Yeah.
There's some IU people here. So graduating, how do we not lose that wealth? It feels like a wealth transfer to the rest of the country.
Oh, absolutely. This is my favorite statistic, and by that I mean it's my least favorite statistic.
Okay.
In 2022, I believe, 40% of Indiana graduates left the state within their first year of graduating.
I'll say this again.
40%.
Within the first year.
Yeah.
40%.
Yeah.
And do you know by any chance how many are in state at IU?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't. That was statewide.
Yep.
Obviously, IU has a lot of students that come from out of state, and so they kind of just go back because there's nothing here.
But they don't stay.
Exactly. Yeah. There's nothing here that makes them stay, and that's before all the legislation that we've been seeing last year or so.
Sure.
Since this, even just at the summer,
right,
where they decided to do it when all the college students were gone. Our number one export in the state is educated college students or college graduates. And it's because they have no reason to stay.
Yeah.
I think the college communities are really important, but you don't necessarily spend your whole life in your college town.
So what is that reason? What is the reason that your colleagues, your classmates need to stay?
Yeah,
Let's start there. What is it they need to say, okay, this is the place I want to be?
Feel secure.
Okay.
Is a fairly well-rounded thing. The conversations that I've had with my friends that I know, things like abortion access, restricting women's health care, as a whole, it's not just about abortion. You know this. It's about maternal health in general.
Mm-hmm.
If my friends or I want to start a family, this is not a safe space to do that, or at least it feels like that.
Right.
And certain parts of the state, for sure, God forbid something go wrong.
Yeah.
This is not a safe space for the mother or the child.
We've lost 14 OB programs in the last few years.
I mean, like, why would you want to stay for that if you want a family? It's about right now when it's being challenged again, or at least being weaponized. LGBT marriage. Why is that a conversation again? I was so lucky that by the time I was a conscious human, at 10 years old, we already had that. It was settled. It was just part of life.
Yeah.
And now we're going against it again.
Yeah.
That's scary for here. If you're a trans kid, I have a lot of friends that are trans. Why would they stay? There's no reason for them to stay. I guess we have jobs in industry. Not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily in the industries that are growing, that are college educated industries. And as a general statement, it feels like the state house is actively working against us in every single way.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be voting rights, there was a big issue earlier this year with student voting, where they're going against that. They're going against programs now. Now we're getting, I don't know if you've talked about this yet on here, but I think we're going to get a lot less students enrolled, especially in IU.
Programs, you mean because of minors and majors being eradicated?
20%, or technically they cut or, absorb 20% of programs.
Yeah.
A lot of them were IU.
We're going to have a show on this, by the way.
Perfect,
And so you'll
yeah.
probably be on it.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's a really important one. And it's very targeted. So I'm at the Hamilton Luger School, the international school.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that really drew me to IU in general was the diversity of program. With the Hamilton Luger School, the number of languages they offer, the number of different cultures that you can experience and learn about, for me and where I want to go, that's really important. And now they're cutting some of the biggest ones.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't really make sense to me. Because they're cutting a lot of language. We're good at language. People come from all over the country to learn languages that aren't taught everywhere at Indiana.
Sure.
And things like that are being cut, which is detrimental to the number of people we have coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So if that number is going down, of course the number of people leaving, or the total number of college graduates in the state, is going to go down as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that insight. What should people know about Indiana Democrats that they don't know? For those people who are watching that aren't Democrats, even if they're progressive, they could be centrist, they can be the right, but they're not part of this party. What do you want them to know?
I think it's really important to understand that we are not one thing. Indiana Democrats across the state are completely different from each other, but it's about values that connect us.
Mm-hmm.
It's about genuine family values. It's about values of freedom. It's about protecting our children. It's about education, things like that, healthcare. If those things are important to you, congrats, you can be in the Democratic Party in Indiana. Right. You know what I mean? Obviously, there's going to be a lot of differences between Indianapolis Democrats and Bloomington Democrats versus Clark County Democrats or wherever it is. And so I think a lot of the time people see whether it's the national party or the state party, and they think it's somebody else.
Right.
And to be honest, in Indiana, I don't see a lot of people that look like me, especially in the Democratic Party.
Sure.
And so there's a lot of room to feel like you don't actually belong there. But there's so much diversity. If not diversity in thought, diversity in backgrounds, diversity in cultures. And I think that's really, really important, because obviously with the numbers, we need to grow the 10. And so you are welcome here, even if you haven't been a Democrat, especially if you haven't been a Democrat all your life. You know what I mean? That's something that I personally hold true, because I'm currently seeing a lot of people around me, even from Carmel or Bloomington, a lot of people around me that maybe didn't hate Trump or didn't see why we were so up in arms, and now we're starting to get it.
Right.
And if we shun them out because of who they were and who they believed in, it doesn't work.
Sure.
We don't have the numbers for it.
So if someone from IU is watching this, you're next, by the way. Someone from IU is watching this and wants to join the IU Dems, or if someone's mom or dad or uncle or whatever has someone there in IU, and they say, hey, you should talk to Anushka about their group. How do they do it?
Okay, so easiest way is Instagram, College Dems @IU, I believe, is our Instagram. Josh, if you want to check me on that, we're easy.
Your social media.
Thank you. Our social media guy has it. Democrats @IU. Perfect way to do it. We're very available on there. You can DM us. You can just follow us, see what's going on. We have our call out. It's going to happen the Tuesday of the second week of school. Details to be announced again, all on social media. That's where we primarily are. We've also got a link tree in there to our GroupMe for all other communications and things like that. I'm very available. You can find me through Tim. You can find me through IU. People somewhat know who I am. And so they can be directed to me. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to talk. And if you're not sure, that's okay too. Come to the call out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll tell you what we do. We'll tell you how we do it. We'll help you out. That's really important, because I wouldn't be here if I didn't have the tools when I was in high school. And so we teach you how to canvass. We teach you about different candidates and what they're doing. Things like that. It's really great. We're a fun group of people. We have a lot of fun. And we get you prepared for the political world as well.
And they can knock some doors with you.
And they can knock some doors with me.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you always. Yeah. Miguel, you want to come tell us about Clark County here? Oh, come on. Here he comes. Oh, you're a media mogul. Good to see you. Good to see you. This is Miguel Hampton. Miguel Hampton is
fancy.
Yeah, Miguel Hampton is the chair of the Clark County Democratic Party, just recently elected.
Yeah, during
a reorg, took over for longtime president and leader in Clark County, Tom Callaghan, and bringing a new energy, looking to set a direction of your own for the party. And so what I've been doing with everybody is asking and starting with, can you tell me about the people that you're representing before we talk about you? Who are the people that are part of the Clark County Democratic Party? What do they believe? What do they need? What do they want? What are they struggling with? What are they flourishing on?
Oh my God, it's such a loaded question.
Yeah.
It's a lot, right? Let's see, Clark County is rural. It's also city. There are a lot of needs. I think, when we look at it economically, jobs, high paying wage jobs, trade jobs. We are, in a sense, kind of a service factory town in some degree. We still got a lot of rural farms in that relationship. So I think depending on what part of Clark County you're talking about, there's going to be a different set of needs from citizens.
Yeah.
Or residents.
That is one of the interesting parts of Clark County is, it has Jeffersonville, which is straight up an extension of Louisville in many ways.
Yeah.
And a partner to it, and then has I live on a 40-acre farm in Clark County, right? So there's very different areas and people that need to unite over certain issues or find a way, even if they disagree, to unite.
Yeah.
So that makes your job hard.
It does. I mean, I think it makes all leadership hard. I mean, we have some things that are unique to our county, right? Because everybody knows about Jamie Knoll and the embezzlement that happened there.
Well, maybe not everybody.
Okay.
You want to tell them about Jamie
Knoll?
Knoll?
Our Republican chair was also sheriff, who embezzled, millions of dollars from the county. He also did things like sell off assets from, Utica Township fire. So that created a significant void in service territory or service provisions there. So, I mean, when you have that level of theft happening at the county level, he didn't do it by himself, because clearly people at the county commission or the county council supported whatever those efforts were. There were a lot of boards and commissions where he appointed people. There was a lot of dummy companies created. And so a lot of this is public. And if you know how to read a budget, you can go back almost probably 10, 15 years and start seeing, and putting that together forensically. But either way it goes, that creates a significant financial void and in leadership. Right?
Let me just say, which the police have, the state police have, and he's been prosecuted. He's 15 years in jail, I believe. Yeah. Jamie Knoll, if you're looking to learn about this, because it's an involved story, there's a really great article by the Indiana Capital Chronicle just say Indiana Capitol Chronicle, Jamie Nolan, Google, and you'll find it. To understand this saga that has left Clark County in a pretty bad spot.
So, and you can look at that, right? From there, like I always, it's a running joke. I don't know if this is a fact, but the reality of it is you got people like Zach Payne and Houchins and a few other people who got a lot of money from Jamie Nolan during that period. So you got to wonder if they stole the money and got elected with stolen money.
Right.
But that's somebody, I mean, I get to say it because I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a thought process, right? Republicans literally stole those seats in that relationship by masking propaganda and getting people to vote for them. But that's another story because that creates even bigger challenges, but so the need is real, right? And then we're in a financial crunch, right? Budgets just came out. We got SB1. And there's going to be tax deficits, and we got to figure out how we're doing that.
For people just tuning in, what is SB1? How is it affecting you?
So it's going to affect Indiana as a whole, right? So, and I don't have all the details to it because I don't have notes, and you just grabbed me and told me to come sit down.
Thank you.
But SB1 basically is a state bill that is going to create tax voids or change the tax brackets for our counties as a whole. Different counties are going to have different deficits coming in, right? And so whether you're incorporated, unincorporated areas of the town or city or a county, you're going to have some effect, right?
So the way I like to just put it is the SB1 basically lowered taxes at the state level, but so really just shifted the burden onto local municipalities and counties for them to figure out how to keep their stuff open, right? And that brings an incredible amount of government organization and leadership that needs to happen to get through this moment. And let me just say, with voter suppression in Indiana, with straight party ticket voting, we vote in a lot of people who haven't been successful or effective. And that is, so you're pushing this really generational problem in terms of taxes onto people who haven't necessarily got the job done or stolen money from us.
Or stolen money, right?
So
and the reality of it is you have school systems.
It's not an accusation; it's a proven fact. It's stolen money.
It's stolen money, or misappropriation of money. So however you want to choose, these are the things that we're dealing with.
Right.
But so we're there were questions of libraries losing funding, school systems losing funding. Your police, your services are going to lose funding. Your county as a whole. So a lot of counties manage the jails and the hospitals and things like that. So our elected officials have a large job of figuring out how to manage resources at this point, right? But that affects directly voters and non-voters, right? The reality of it is, if you don't vote, you still live in a county or a city, you're going to be affected by what's happening. And some of it is property tax, and there's been conversation about how we get rid of property taxes or increase property taxes, or what the tax ceiling will be. And there's all these different language out there for people to have to learn. And so I think there's a lot we have to do civilly to really ready our residents for what's coming, right? And then educate our voters and then our non-voters, right? Why should you vote? And then what happens after voting, right? Because sometimes we get out and we vote and we're like, there's an expectation of delivery, when in reality we have to hold our elected officials accountable, right? For the things that we require or we have a need for. And so that's equally important, that there's a mission going forward. And I think that's across all counties. But my mission in that relationship for us is to galvanize Democratic voters, better organize the party in a way that makes sense both for those who are currently elected, those who want to run for office. I think empower our PCs, our precinct chairs, and our vice chairs in a way that maybe we haven't done in the past. Because we can be a really good organization and a cohesive team. And with a mission, and I think we have to define what that mission is, and then attack it. I think that's a void across the state as well as nationally as Democrats as a whole. And I said, but as a county chair, my responsibility is Clark County, and so that's the start. Where's the big vision at, and how do we get there?
Do you need more precinct chairs?
Yes. So we'll need more precinct chairs, and part of reorg this May on the primary. So if you want to run as a precinct chair or you have interest as a vice chair, this is the time to start talking about it. There is going to be a period of time where you can sign up. It will be on the May ballot. So this is a great time. So you can reach out to me. You can reach out to my vice chair, who is Christina Gilkey. You can reach out to anybody.
And how do we find you? Is there a website? Is Facebook?
We have Facebook and website. So the website is iamadem.com. clarkdems.com and then clarkdems.org. Same website, two different URLs. You can go on Facebook and look us up on County Democrats. There's several private groups as well as a public group. I'm easy to find. You Google me. It's kind of funny we can say that and not be arrogant.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about you for a second. Let's get into your story. So interesting story. You're doing a lot for. I'd love you to talk about your book as well. Tell us about yourself.
Oh man, we got that kind of time.
We do. We got that time. Benita's here. She's
I'm a serial
protecting your time right now.
Okay, there it is.
Protect
yes. If I say something wrong, just give me the. No. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I own a creative marketing and PR firm. And Jeff with an office and studio in New Albany. I have been in and out of corporate America most of my life. I own 2 degrees in business management. I have been in political campaign consulting probably since 2006, 2007, and both spent a lot of that time in both Kentucky as well as in Indiana, anything from U.S. Senate to judicial campaigns. I ran for office. I ran for county commissioner in 2016. That was a really great opportunity to begin to understand how our counties are governed and what our budgets really look like and the difference between our county councils and our county commissioners, but then also understanding the difference between our incorporated and unincorporated communities, because not every state is organized the same way. And Indiana has, for me, is where I live, has unique space comparisons to some of the other spaces I was managing or I was consulting in. But then I ran for city council in Jeff in 2018, decided I wanted to be party chair just because I saw some voids. And I can't remember when I ran and didn't win that first one. And this last round, it was like, hey, if you're still interested, and you still have an idea and a vision, like come back around and let's do it. But that being said, so I teach business development and growth strategies through different programs and nonprofit and Chamber of Commerce. Have been doing that for the last 12, 13 years. And so I work with entrepreneurs who are between the ranges of 150 to 8 million a year. And I help them develop and write growth strategies and growth plans so that they can scale their companies. I am a published photographer since middle school. It's a long time. I shoot and film short documentaries as well, typically in the social justice world. So anything that is related to domestic violence, substance abuse, child abuse prevention, and also Black history narratives. And so that is something I've been, I'd say, actively really working on for the last 5 years. And so we've published a couple of documentaries and been in film festival. Got a couple of things I'm working on right now for like the Shelbyville NAACP. That's what I've been working on for the last 3 days. Okay. There's a lot, man.
You just published a book like a year or two ago. Right?
Yeah. So this year. So in May, yeah. So in May, we published a photography documentary narrative covering the time that that Breonna Taylor was killed in Louisville, Kentucky, and the protest that was happening in Louisville. My daughter, who was 16 at the time and was going to Jeff High, was like, "Hey, Dad, I have a voice and I want to protest." And she won the debate, and so we went and I took her protesting night 2 of that, which was happening in Louisville, and what ended up being the remaining of the year. And so we were there almost until like October, November of 2020. And 5 years later, in May to date, I published a book covering the time that we spent down there. And so, as a protester who happened to be a photographer and a documentarian, I pulled it all together. And so we launched the book this year. We launched it in May. We did a book release at Roots 101, which is a Black history museum in Louisville. And then I went out to Philly and did a project and started pitching it, the concept, to libraries as an archival collector's edition that this album is, because it's not your traditional public book, right? So the book itself weighs about 7 pounds.
Yeah.
It is.
How much is a book that's 7 pounds?
It's $650, $1,000 if you buy it through my nonprofit.
Okay.
It is a collector's edition. We're only going to print 1,000.
And are you signing them?
Each one is signed. It comes with a certificate of authenticity that says that this is one of. And then I'm working on a more commercial version that we will release, and it will be a different series of images. So what you get in this version,
be slimmed down version.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the handful of things, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you can Google a lot of it. It's all out there. All the things that I've done over the years. I'm an award-winning business activist and an advocate, and so one of my favorite awards was the Kevin Hammersmith which is the Duke Energy Award, and that is for being an advocate in the business community as a whole, specifically in Southern Indiana. And I got that back in, I think I want to say 13. But when you do the work, you don't necessarily always do it for recognition.
Sure.
But it's nice to be recognized. And so that was one of those things.
I've actually never heard it all your work kind of put together in a single story, so this is actually pretty exciting for me too, to be able to do that. Well, great. So thank you for coming on. Anything you want to leave us with? How do we find the Clark County Facebook page, website?
So just if you go to Clark County Indiana Democrats, you'll find us, and then there's our CCDA, which is our membership, right? Yeah. So you'll find that's a private group. So if you're a member, you can join there. And then we launched a website this year, and it's just clarkdems.org or iamadem.com. And so that will take you there. We're still updating the site. So if you go there, you got some suggestions, we'll take them.
Yeah.
We are really trying to move Clark County into a digital age. Sure. In a way that our young people are communicating, because we have to have more young folks involved at the high school and college level. We have to get all of us involved as a whole, right? And what's interesting about the Democrats, and this has been a conversation probably for a really long time, but maybe more significantly in the last couple of days, is that the Dems, and we're the party of everybody, like literally, like from the far right of the Democratic Party to the far left, like you have all the things, right? I've met folks who are love the Confederacy, who are Democrats, right? And I've met people who are super pro LGBTQ plus, and I've found people who are really strong hunters and business owners and strong economic activists. We are all the things, and I think that's the greatest part about the party. But that's also sometimes the hardest thing about it.
Right.
Is finding the language and the story, so that we can all come together and realize we're fighting for the same thing.
Yeah.
The other piece of that is there's a lot of opportunity in that. Right. So if we can find the right language and the right leaders, right? If I'm more center, then we still have to cover the right side of the party.
Sure.
And we need to find leaders on the right side who can actually bridge that relationship between center and right, and go out there and deploy the same thing with our left, and stop fighting each other. We do that really well.
Fight each other.
We do that. Yes, we can cannibalize our own organization. And I'm not afraid to say that. But as a leader in the party, that is something that we can change. And I think all our leaders need to realize and recognize that, right? Is that we have to work together, old, young, funny, not funny, all the things, right? And find that common ground. So not that we can just win elections, but we can change policy that truly is going to benefit our communities. Like you go into Charlestown and recognize that they have limitations as it relates to hospitals, right? There's not a hospital close enough to them. We lack EMS services. You go into Utica and, strangely enough, you think about food deserts. You don't often think about food deserts in rural communities. At least I don't. I think about food deserts in small Black or economically challenged cities, right? But, in our townships, we have legitimate food deserts. We have an increased population of. Okay, see, exactly.
In New Washington, right? Where's a Dollar General that has a couple pieces of lettuce on the shelf, but pretty much besides that, fresh food, and it's difficult.
So we've got to address these things in a more community based, right? We got to be better neighbors to each other, and part of that is going to fall on our elected officials, but I think part of that falls on our party as a whole, right? Our voters and our residents. So it's we gotta, as leadership, we got a lot to do.
Yeah, we could talk forever, because I would love to hear more, dive into the book a little bit more, actually, in that experience. I think it's really unique, and people need to and want to hear more about it. I also want to say something that you stepped on that's more personal to me, which is, where I'm working right now clinically is because we don't have a hospital in my area and in Charlestown, right? That hospital's closed. There's nothing there. Access to care there's no doctor in my town or any of the surrounding towns. And so I'm working on the kind of Jeffersonville suburban sprawl edge into right before the rural areas start. And then the ambulances come down, meet us in our standalone emergency department, treat them, stabilize them, and send them into Louisville or Clark or Floyd or wherever it is that they need. It's not enough. That's great. That's a great. I'm glad that this is there, but healthcare access is an enormous issue, and we're literally living it in Clark County. It's a huge part of my own platform. A huge part of what I'd like to do is expand, access to Medicaid, not cut it. Expand our ability to pay for Medicare and give Medicare to as many people as we can. What are you seeing in terms of access to healthcare? What are people saying to you as their Clark County leader?
It's limited. I mean, that's the most I can get out of it, right? The reality of it is that depending on where you are, the closest hospital is Jeffersonville, which is right next to the highway. So if you have a heart attack, and you'll know better than I do in terms of the time frame that it takes for EMS to get you, stabilize you, and then get you to the hospital, most of those folks are going to pass away, right? They're not going to make it. So when we look at that severity, the question is that as leaders, what can we do different? I get to say this, right, wrong, or in between. I'll let the world judge, right? The Republicans are doing a really excellent job of taking away services from the people. Mm-hmm. And I think this is an opportunity for Democrats to step in and say, this is about the people, for the people, and these are services we can bring to the table. The big beautiful bill is both a quintessential communist, social, and capitalist bill, right? Mm-hmm. But we don't want to call it that. But the reality of it is that they're using socialism. But anytime we talk about doing things for the people that would better our communities, they don't want to do that thing. And I think that's the thing we have to attack first. Yeah. When we talk about food deserts, if we're one of the wealthiest nations in the world, no one should go hungry. We shouldn't have a houseless problem. We should be able to have affordable houses. But when we allow, so the thing about capitalism, and I love capitalism, right?
You espouse it, you teach it.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is that in its pro, what happens, right? We make money and we put that money back into the environment. We put that money back into the community where it came from, and then it circles, right? There's a cyclical thing that keeps happening, and that's how people flourish. But the con to that relationship is greed. And when we go into a community and we extract all its resources and put nothing back in, right? We create what? House problems. We create medical issues. We create, these food deserts, and that's what the Republican Party, in a sense, is really doing. And I think, in this, when we think about Trump is, beyond being just our president. That's quintessential. That's what he's always done in his companies. If you read any of his books, right, he is great at being his self-absorbed, egotistical, and about his own pockets, and he doesn't really care about anyone else. And I think that's what we've elected. And unfortunately, people didn't read enough about him to understand that this is what he's doing to the United States. And there are a lot of people who are following that pattern. Yeah. And we have, the benefit of it is that once something is revealed, we have an opportunity to attack it and have a plan and make adjustments for it. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, that's great. Got in deep on it.
Yeah. So a lot of private sector is unfortunately taking advantage of accessibility. We can buy land and build less expensive than we are. We can borrow less expensive than we are. I just think at the end of the day, a lot of times, and this is probably not going to be a healthy statement from somebody who runs businesses and teach people that, profit is not a bad thing, but greed is, right? We can be profitable and we can manage cash flow and we can manage resources and be very prosperous, but we can also bring people with us and make sure everybody is prosperous in that same vein. Sure. And we've watched millions of companies do it, right? So we have to figure out, I think our elected officials have to figure out how not to get bought off. And that's just that's a reality too, right? We have special interests that walk in and says, "Hey, I'll make you rich if you keep your people poor, or if you keep your people stupid." Right. And that's a thing we have to face. And the Republicans do a really great job of keeping people stupid. I mean, Jamie Noah as the party leader of the the Republican Party has done a really great job of creating additional poverty in Clark County, has done a great job of creating distrust from leadership in our county. And the Republicans who tend to follow him, like a Mike Moore in Jeffersonville, a Zach Payne, they continue that trend. And then if we're not willing as Democrats to stand up and call the devil, then we're going to continue to face this problem. And we have to, I say that because we also have to prepare our new candidates, right, to fight this fight and engage in a way that is going to be healthy. And when we elect our candidates, we have to understand, we have to help them through this journey to figure out how these bills are written, and when they are written, which ones are good to vote for and which ones are not, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying all Republicans are bad, and I'm not saying all Democrats are good, but the reality is when we sit down at the table, we have to make sure we're drafting ordinances that are for the best of the people and not the organizations that are paying you to be there.
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
It is a lot, but one thing that you're hitting on there is I want to get back to this point that we have,
because I'm over here free talking, and that's not probably healthy.
We'll get you out of here in one moment. I want to pitch something to you, which we talked about last election cycle a lot, which is there's still political money out there that Jamie Knoll gave to candidates.
Yes.
A lot of it.
Yes.
And, Jamie's in jail, let's turn the page. Is kind of a lot of what's going on. But there's still the influence of that money. I'd really like to see that money given back to the Clark County taxpayers. So if you accepted $1,000, $10,000, whatever from him, give that back.
Yeah.
It seems pretty obvious to do so. I mean,
well, it is obvious, but I mean, who wants to say I did harm?
Yeah.
Who wants to say I was part of the thievery and knew it? Right? Who wants to wave that banner of guilt? Because the other part of waving that banner of guilt to say I helped the thief. Well, you were a conspirator. Maybe you should go to jail too. I'm not saying that Zach Payne knew that the $300,000+ that he got was stolen money. I'm not saying that, but if it is he going to stand up and wave the flag and say, look, Connie Sellers and Jack Kaufman and some of our previous city or county council members or county commissioners who signed off on contracts, who signed off on these ordinances, who gave away money, the people who sat on the fire commission. Like, I don't know these things.
Yeah, it's crazy that we would even come close to trying to elect these people again.
Yeah, you just gotta point the arrow and connect the dot and then ask the question, hey, Jack Kaufman, who is the county commissioner, did you know that Jamie Knoll was stealing all these years that you've been on the commission? Hey, Mike Moore.
Let me change that statement.
It's
crazy that we would elect these people without asking for transparency.
Absolutely.
Without hearing the story of what, tell me about Jamie Knoll is completely in control. He was your boss.
Yeah. Well, here's the other part, right? Sometimes we're asking for transparency because we don't know how to go get it.
Well, that's the thing. How do we go get it?
Open records.
How do we get
it? You can, and somebody may know more than I do, right? But you can go to your county clerk and ask for the budget. You can ask to read them.
Yeah.
You can go and ask and see who has gotten contracts in your county or in your city. You can go to your city municipalities and ask. So part of that is understanding how our government is formed, and then what is available to us and what is not.
There's a great website out there called OpenSecrets.com.
There you go.
And Open Secrets, you can very clearly it connects into most data resources, all the federal for sure, state resources, but some local as well, where you can see every donation that has come across that someone's supposed to file. Yeah. Now there's money that changed hands that wasn't filed as well. So, but you can see right in clear day
it's there.
That Aaron Houchin took the money, whatever.
Yeah, one of the things someone brought to me a couple months ago, they were looking at the county commissioner budget, right? I think our county budget is like $34 million. That's not abnormal, right? Some budgets are bigger, some budgets are smaller, but there was a line item that said personal. It was a couple $100,000, right? And so personal, right? And they brought it to me and was like, why does it say personal? And I was like, I don't know. To me, that would be a red flag if you know how to read a budget. Right. I was like, but I bet you it means personnel. And maybe the auditor or whoever's responsible for bookkeeping is just, they were shorthanding it, right? It's shorthanding. I said, so before you make a judgment, go ask.
Sure.
I think the greatest part to that story is that the person had the ability to pull the budget. and they knew that there was someone they could call to get additional information to say, help me understand what this is. And then when they did that, then they could go back and ask the question, what does this mean? What is this line item? How does it happen? So different cities or the way cities are formed, right? Whether it's a class 1, class 2, class 3, metropolitan, whatever it is, they're all governed differently, and they're all different set of rules in terms of how power, in a sense, can be willed and how finances are done. And I think it's important that all voters, all residents understand how their city is formed, right? And what the Constitution is and all those different things.
This election coming up, how do we balance, hey, the local GOP in Clark County has been corrupt by definition, versus by law, by prosecuted law, by settled law, versus we Democrats want to lay out a vision of what we want to do for people, right? It feels like one can weigh down the other. Yet there's this call for transparency or way to go get transparency that you're asking. That's going to be, the big thing on your shoulders as we move forward. Of how do you help lead the party to say, where's this balance lead? It's a hard question. I'm sorry if you haven't gotten a plan yet. We still have 15 months until the next election.
Actually, I mean, it is a great question and one to ponder and one to think about. Like, how do we do that? Like, how do we find a balance? I think there's some people who are doing it well, right? Wendy, when she was elected, started hosting town halls, and right, wrong, or in between.
Wendy Danchester,
who's our state rep?
State rep in, was it 72?
Yeah. She started hosting town halls and bringing bills to the table so that people can question her on it, whether she understood all of it or just parts of it. I think that's the beginning of transparency. Tia Williams Hampton, who happens to be my wife, was caucused into the county council, and when she got on there, she created a Facebook page and started posting immediately what was happening in the council meetings, right? Because they are public, but a lot of people don't go to them. It's just time. We're busy folks have things to do. I think that's the starting point. I think the other part to that is finding people who can champion the understanding what these things are. I think sometimes we make them complex on purpose, and then once we do that, we need someone to explain it. Like, we use the word TIF all the time, which is tax increment financing. And it's great because then you'll say, what is a TIF? And somebody will say tax increment financing. Well, my brain then says, well, what's that, right? And so when I didn't understand it, and I'm not about to get into it here, but when I didn't understand, right now. And when I didn't understand it, I went to someone who did, and I said, do me right. And breakers, like, what's a breaker? So there's all this language there, and I think we have to publish the definitions so that people then can go and read that, and then we have to identify who our leadership is, who's willing to explain it and the way and how it actually works, right? Because those are our resources as residents and citizens, right? Those are our resources, and if we don't understand them, we are clearly left out in that sense.
Right.
So I think that's the beginning of the bridge. I think doing things like this more often. Yesterday we didn't necessarily have the internet, or we didn't have podcasting, or we didn't have live streaming where we can begin to have open dialogue about what a thing is. I think also people being willing to be wrong. Like I did this project some years ago with Dr. Shabazz. I forget what she's an ambassador to, but either way it goes, we were having a brief conversation, and she didn't necessarily like what I said. And she said, Miguel, do me a favor. And I was like, what's that? And she said, as you get more information, I want you to reserve the right to change your mind. And I was like, I can dig that.
Yeah.
Like, and so I say that a lot. I reserve the right to be wrong. And I reserve the right to change my mind tomorrow when I get new information. And so if I know something or think I know something about rural county or rural particular area, and then I go in and I learn something new, but now I can draft a new idea. One of the things, I just sat down with some of our elected leadership and I said, here's what I want you to do for me. Because I can write it in my own words. I can guess at what you're doing, but I don't want to. What I want you to do is y'all work together and give me a narrative of the things you've done well. And then let's draft that and tell the people. Right? Because if I do it, I'm going to miss something, right? You're passionate about this and they're passionate about that, but we have to share that. And if we don't give our voters a reason to vote, we already know they're not going to show up. And that's the biggest issue.
Clark County is very winnable across the entire county if Democrats showed up.
We have to give them a reason to show up, and the Republicans give them a reason not to. And they buy into that, right? And so we also don't understand political strategy a lot of times. We talk political strategy, we want to talk Congress. We want to talk what's happening at the Fed level. But the reality of it is in the last, so I don't know how many years it is because I suck at math in my brain. But let's say in 2007, I traveled the entire state of Kentucky on a couple campaigns. And one of the things I realized is that, the genius of the Republican Party was to dismantle the Democratic Party internally. Right. So in the reality of it is if you want to disrupt something, you don't do it from the outside, you do it from the inside. Yep. And so they got Republican people to come into the party, the whole leadership to dismantle the party. Well, we see that in Clark County all the time. Right. We're like, oh, my God, that Democrat is now a Republican. No, they was always Republican. Right. We just chose not to see the thing. Sure. Right. And so in that reality, there is a strategy to dismantle in order to win. Right. And sometimes winning is not the end goal. Right. So I think we have to look at that as a whole and think about what are we doing in the future? How do we get there? Why are we doing it? And truth be told, who's on our team? Yeah. Right.
Are you talking? I mean, just to call it out, you're talking about Michael Moore when you say that a lot.
Kevin Vincent used to be a Democrat. There's a lot of people who used to be Democrats who are now Republicans. And I think some of them probably were always Republicans. And yeah, hey, that's okay. Right. But I think as leadership, as we stand here, one of the things you'll hear me say a lot is don't come stand next to me and wave a Republican banner. I am a Democratic leader. My team Democrat. I wear blue. Right. If you show up to my meeting in red, we got problems. Right. I mean, that's just the reality. Now, I'm not saying in a general election that we don't need all voters because you do. Right. And we have to figure out what that alignment is. But the reality of it is I'm on a team and I got to know that you're on my team. And when we go to the war, because that's what politics is, right? It's war without bullets.
That's your job. Right?
Yeah. I need to know that I have.
It's very transparent. I mean, that is your Democratic Party leader.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily elected official who's supposed to represent everybody in their district one way or another. Your job is what it is, and you're there to represent the Democrats and voters who want to align themselves with Democrats in Clark County.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so if you're a Democratic leader and I see you waving the banner and it ain't ours, I might tell you to go join the other side. Yeah. Or I'm going to ask you, what's the point of you doing that, right? Because you should be carrying our banner, even though you may have Republicans in your district or in your area that you have to serve. I respect that, right? But I hope that you believe in democratic values and democratic principles. I hope that you understand, the bigger picture that, aligns here. And the decisions that you're making are in the benefit of everybody. So I get the benefit of wearing blinders in this role. Right. Sometimes our elected official doesn't. But it's my job to make sure that they're on the team.
Yeah. Awesome.
And they stay on the team.
Well, thank you for working to keep growing the team and getting that team to perform in terms of coming out and voting, because Clark County is one of those use cases. If in the next year and a half, yes, but in the next 10 years, but even the next year and a half, if you can get people out to vote with the amount of energy that's out there, the amount of disagreement that is happening with current administrations, both locally with the corruption that's happened in the GOP locally, with the state level, with a lot of the voting that's happened, including trying to crush local communities through tax transfers. And then on the national level, obviously, you have a lot of motivated people out there. You just need to hold their hand and get them to the polls.
I agree. Let me say this too, and I'm speaking directly to candidates on this one. I watch a lot of candidates show up without a platform, and they want voters to come out, but you can't speak to the voters' needs, and that's why people don't show up.
Sure.
Right. So if you choose to run for office in 26 or 27 or whatever this next cycle is for you, make sure that you're running on a platform of the constituents. Make sure they're democratic values. So if you're in a community that has a food shortage, right, that should be part of your platform. Yeah. If you're in a community that doesn't have hospitals, right, or adequate Medicare, right, or Medicare. I guess that would be Medicare. Yeah. So. Make sure that we're having those conversations and saying, okay, well, how do we build that platform? How do we bring this in here? How do we make affordable housing, in that relationship and define that accurately? So I put that back on candidates, but us as party leaders, we also have to educate. So I think more trainings are going to be important, how to campaign. I heard the young lady that was sitting here earlier talking about doing grassroots development, and that is awesome. We need that across the board for those who are not candidates and those who will be. And, hopefully when we look at the next 5 to 10 years, I'm guessing she's probably 19, 20 years old.
I think she's 20 now.
Here. Yeah, I would like to see her running for office
individual.
at 21, 22, 23 years old.
Yeah.
And leading us where we should be.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much.
Completely ruined this conversation.
Oh no, this is absolutely amazing. No, I think this is exactly what we've been kind of billing what today would be about, which is giving people a kind of inside look at the party that they wouldn't get otherwise, because most of our viewers are not Democratic Party insiders.
Okay.
Right? Many of them are progressive. I'd say, 70, 80% of them. The next 10 are moderates, and then independent type people. Yeah. And the next 10 is we have a lot of conservative viewers who like to see what's going on in the progressive world.
Okay.
So you're given an inside look into what's going on and how we're thinking and what needs to be done. I think it's beautiful and transparent, and transparency. There's that thing again.
Yeah, come chat with us. It's open. How we get there. We don't get there without the people. Right. Regardless of what vision I have or I think we can do, without people, it doesn't happen. And I think that's important to say that. So regardless of where you are in this world, this next voting cycle, where we are as a country, it only changes with us. Sure. And this may be a time where, I'm not going to take off my Democratic hat, but I'm going to ask you to take off your Republican and let's go sit down and chat. Right. And talk about how do we find a president who is not going to destroy the country, but truly make it better? Mm-hmm. How do we find a governor who is not going to dismantle our state, right, but truly make it better?
Sure.
And I think that's important in that space. And I would be remiss if I don't say this. If you go to our website, we are trying to raise money. No, we're not trying. We are raising money. We have to have a war chest. We have to be able to spread our message, and that can only happen with some coin, unless you're an advertising channel and willing to give us space. So, but check it out. I appreciate you, man.
All right, cool. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Would you like to join us? Yes. Yeah, sure. Would you like to join us?
Sure. Yeah.
I need to stand. I think I've been sitting for 3 hours.
Hi, I'm Mary.
Mary, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Come on in.
Thanks.
Mary, so what we're doing here is this Project Next. It's a platform which you may or may not know about, which is to create the next Indiana kind of free of fear and hate. And we have a lot of viewers who are not party insiders in any way of the Democrats. What we do is we bring on Republicans, we bring on independents, we bring on libertarians. There's a lot of conversation, a lot of people disagreeing, but also trying to have conversation.
But if they're having the conversation, that's the important part.
That's right. And so,
because when you have that, you find the shared values.
That's right.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so we have a number of, maybe you can just move in just a little bit and get on here. So that's the kind of format of this. Most of the viewers are progressive, but I'd say that the last 20-30% are anything from moderates to very conservative people who like to look in on what's going on in the progressive world. And so this is like a window into something that a lot of these viewers do not get to be here at IDA with us. So
thanks for doing it.
Yeah, thank you. So please tell us who you are and and why you're here.
Yes. Well, my name is Mary Allen. I am a city councilor in Evansville, Indiana. So I'm a councilor at large. This is my first term. And I am here. I just announced my candidacy for 8th District Congressional.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Yep. I'm your counterpart in Indiana 9. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So here, you can see it.
Yay,
I was the Democratic nominee last year and running again this year. So.
Okay.
Congratulations. So.
Thanks.
Let's talk about
for the work you're doing.
Who your people are. Who are you representing? Who are the people or looking to represent in Indiana 8 before we talk about you? Right?
Yeah.
Who are they? What do they care about? Where do they work? What do they want to make their lives better?
Yeah. Well, that's a big part of my discovery, to be honest. I'm in Evansville. I say native now. I've lived there a little over 30 years, originally from Cincinnati, but I'm making it my goal to get around to the 21 counties in the next 15 months, much less than that, because, I want to know, I need to know just that,
Right.
What is working for them, what isn't, what do they care about, what are their concerns? I mean, we can have the ideas of what is concerning those people, just like what is concerning us in Southern Indiana. And I'm a little more urban, and I know this district, there's a lot of rural communities,
Sure.
and so what impacts them might be a little bit different.
Sure.
But I feel like we all have the same concerns. We all want grandma to be able to be in a nursing home. We all want access to health care. We want a good paying job. We want to be able to buy a house. And if you look at our average income in the 8th district versus the cost of a house, people aren't able to do that hardly anymore.
Sure.
Like affordability, our utility bills. I think we all, no matter where we live, want to be able to have access to food and, without the cuts in SNAP and
Sure.
Medicaid, all of those basic things that just impact our everyday life.
Right.
Not to mention all of the other craziness that's going on,
Right.
every day,
Right.
that we're just
Slingshotting our
the
attention
things-
all over.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and it's just, and maybe that's a strategy. I don't know,
Mhm.
to keep us exhausted, keep us overwhelmed, keep us
Right.
feeling maybe a little helpless and hopeless, and thinking, okay, but what can we do
Sure.
right now to help one another, maybe inspire a little bit of hope and coming
Sure.
together to combat these issues.
So let's talk
Yeah.
about Evansville. So how big is Evansville?
About 119,000.
Okay, so it's about 1/7 of the district that you have. So you have 119. You are in city council there.
Mhm.
How did you start that? Why did you go and try to be a city councilor?
Yeah.
What interested you? Yeah.
I never, even just, I don't know, 10 years ago, I would have never thought I would be on this journey. But I started out because a friend of mine was wanting to run for city council, and he needed a treasurer. And to be
Mhm.
honest, at that point, I've never voted straight ticket.
Right.
So I will pull whatever primary I want to pull based on the people I want to vote for. And so I
Sure.
had several Republican polls,
Yeah.
ballots. Am I allowed to say that on this podcast?
You're
I don't know.
on this podcast,
Okay.
you are.
That's
Out there, you might be a little more
Yeah, right.
careful, but that's the purpose of this podcast.
But that was years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, not that many years ago, though, to be honest, to
Yeah.
see where I am now. But things have shifted over the years very quickly, too. So anyway, I remember telling him, I'm like, I don't know. If you're like all in on this DIM thing, I am very
Sure.
moderate. And anyway, all that to say, he's like, I just need someone who's a friend and who I trust and is organized with numbers. And I own a small business. And anyway, I said yes. I said no at first, but then came back around and said yes. And then got a bird's eye view into the world of politics and even the campaign world and what all that looked like. Some things I loved, some things I didn't. And I watched him win in a very Republican area, and he ran as a Democrat and just
It's great.
blew it away. And so, just supported him. And then fast forward to the next 4 years, when it was time for another cycle, one of the at-large candidates was moving and
Okay.
wasn't going to run again. So it was going to be an empty seat. And we only had like one other woman on city council of 9. And I said, okay, where are our women?
Right. Where's your representation?
Where's the representation? And so another city councilor said, well, have you ever thought about running?
Mhm.
I'm like, absolutely not. But now I will.
Right.
And I gave it a lot of thought, talked to my husband, talked to my staff at work, and I like, okay, let's do this. I love the concept. I'd worked in nonprofit world. I worked in healthcare. I own a small business. You live different lives through
Yep.
your lifetime, I feel like,
Sure.
and have different experiences that bring you to certain places. And it all sort of culminated to this.
Mhm.
And I thought, I'm in a place in life right now that this could be the next thing and way to serve my community.
Mhm.
And I love it.
Mhm.
I love it. I'm all in.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what year was this that you?
This is just
Just-
so I'm a year and a half in.
You're
to
a
my
year and a
first
half
term.
in. Okay.
Yes.
What's the thing
Yeah.
that you've learned that you were just shocked by, that you didn't know was going to happen?
I don't know that I've been shocked by anything really, except I've been disappointed by some things. I've been really excited by some things.
Okay.
When on a local level, you think we all want the same thing. We all want quality of life. We want the best things for our neighbors. We want, we want good parks. We want safety, all of those things, and proper infrastructure and roads. And so I guess maybe one of the things that shocked me is the people that'll say one thing and how they're going to vote one way and then get into a meeting and then do something completely different, even though they told you something, the night before or whatever.
So you're talking about the actual politic of it, like the power brokering, it's real what you see in the movies, right?
Yeah.
Like the people,
and maybe you think, that happens in DC,
right?
But not in our community, not in our city level,
right?
But and it doesn't bad, we really do have an amazing council. We have an amazing mayor, and we are moving a lot of things forward and making a lot of progress, and so that has been a really fulfilling thing.
Sure.
But I still come back to saying, let your yes be yes and your no be no. And that I will always stand by that, no matter what position, no matter what you're doing, public world, private world. And that's just, so that really is off-putting when that's not the case.
Sure. No, I love that. Let your yes be yes, let your no be no.
So,
yeah.
And not that our minds can't change. We get new information. Of
course.
And then you can reevaluate and rethink things based on that new information. But in my mind, I'm like, go back to that person and say, I learned this, I thought this. And so I think I'm coming around thinking it in a different way, and I'm going to vote this way or whatever. I don't know.
And so
communication is good. Let's just say that.
So you holding elected office now, and you are deciding to increase your constituency by 7x.
Right. Why not?
Why not?
I'm already a year and a half
meet
in. I'm ready.
7 times the amount of people over the next 15 months.
Yes.
What have you gotten yourself into? Yeah.
I don't know if anyone fully knows, right? Well, you can speak to that.
Yeah,
Do you really
it's a lot.
fully know, or would you say yes to
You
it?
have no idea until it's over.
Right.
And even after it's over, it keeps going. So
Yeah. In this, again, it wasn't something I really thought I would be in a position doing. I was starting these conversations like, who do we have? Who can we have as a viable candidate to come up against this? Because we need somebody. And no race should go uncontested, I believe. And there wasn't anyone, necessarily just chomping at the bit to get out there in this district, because it's a tough one. And I'm not naive to that. I don't think it isn't winnable. I think it is winnable.
Can I tell you why I think it's winnable?
Yes, will you please give me some hope? Yes.
Absolutely. So Indiana has the 50th voter turnout in off-year elections. So it's a little higher in presidential elections. They do beat that, not being so bad at it. And so the 50th voter turnout, right now, our state votes at 40-60 in terms of Democrat to Republican. Your area is like 30-70, right? So thinking about what it would take to make it instead of 50th, if you made it 45th and you did that math, would you win? Right? If that delta of people that came out were voting for you, those extra voters, would you win? If everybody who came out and voted for the Democrats, or your counterpart last year, the Democrats came out this year, would you win or not? It probably would be pretty close, and you need to get some more out.
Yeah.
And so there is a universe of people out there, if they just voted, you would win.
Yeah.
And so it's about
convincing them to vote.
Right? It's about getting those people to vote. And those things come to organization, right? And finding who are the people in your district who can be allies, get to them fast, and be able to amplify what you're able to do. So organization, people you can rely on, getting
boots on the ground in those counties.
Boots on the ground. Make some ridiculous goal for how many doors you want to knock or phone calls you want to make or something like that. Put it out there and just tell people we need to hit that.
Yes,
right? And organize it around there. So the organization is a big piece. And then have something that you're running for rather than
Yes.
just running against the Republican Party, because the Republican Party has done a pretty terrible job of representing us in Indiana State House for sure. Right. So that is going to help you this year more than other years. More than other years. That'll help you a lot. I think the idea.
And I get a front row seat to that. And I'm the finance chair in our council, and we are. I mean, the hit after hit on our.
Right. And so it's going to be. Yeah, because of SB1 and being you are the example of the people who have to deal with the fallout of SB1, of having to figure out a way to keep your recycling program open.
Right, and but also we're gonna have to deal with the fallout of how do we make that up, and what does that look like? And is it going to be increasing lit, or is it going to be implementing a wheel tax, or?
And the question is, can federal government be helpful there at all? And you're running for a new position, where you will have some control over that. There are ways to think about saying, okay, if the state's not going to help us, I want to help you. I'll step in Washington and be able to help make up some of the shortfall in some way.
Man, would you come over to the 8th and be? I need you as a campaign manager.
No, I'm happy to keep talking to you. Right, but you're looking for a way to help a mess of a problem that Indiana is in right now. And so we need to educate people to that mess, and they're going to get hurt because they're not going to be able to throw their bottle in the recycling, or they're not going to have an ambulance come to their house, or they're not. I mean, you were here earlier.
They're going to be way farther away from the nearest hospital.
Right. So. That's all real problems that are literally happening to people right now.
Yes.
And so when that happens to them, that's horrible. You need to be there somehow to tell them, hey, I have an alternative for you.
Yes.
And you as a new federal official can make that alternative. You can come up with that platform. That's exciting. That's an exciting place.
It is.
And so, just there are people out there. There is a way for you to win. That's pretty obvious. It's just have people vote.
Yes.
It's really that obvious.
And I really think this is a time, maybe more than ever, that we're coming out of our apathy a little bit. Like that's. Oh, gotcha. Thank you.
Oh, you got to wrap it up. Well,
I know you've got your team. I got my team. This is so good. We're so.
Tell us how to find you, how to learn more about you. Here's my card.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. I will reach out to you. So MaryAllenForCongress.com. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I hear, we need to be on TikTok and all of those things, but Facebook and Instagram at Mary Allen for Congress.
Okay.
Probably the best way to find
our
me
social media directors around here. You can ask her for some tips as well.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay. Well, it's great to meet you.
Thank you
for coming on.
Thank you for what you're doing. Good luck. We'll continue the conversation.
Okay. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
I hear we have Byron Holland coming up next. Is that right? And thank you, Mary. It's great to meet you.
Hey, Tim.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You're running for state senate, and what's the district?
I am 40. I'm in 43.
43. Okay. So, we've been talking here to a lot of interesting people telling interesting stories. You have a relatable, interesting story as well, which we want to hear. But first, if you would tell me about the people of 43, of State Senate 43. Who are they? What do they care about? What are they struggling with? What do they need?
So a lot of the issues.
And if you come a little bit closer, so they can be able to get your voice.
So my district in the 43rd, people are heard in the 43rd. We have all of Scott County, where I live in Austin. We have Jefferson County, Switzerland County, Ohio County, Dearborn, and half of Jennings County, thanks to our fabulous supermajority. So when I am in Jennings County, depending on what township you live in, I may
All right. We are going to do this a different way. So we just had a power problem. And so for everybody here, we're going to make this happen. We're going to be innovative. There it is. We got to get close to one another. And thank you for being so flexible. As we figure out very much of our backup. We lost a lot of our viewers. They'll come back. And we also have a lot of, most of the people who will be watching this will be watching afterwards. And we're going to cut it up, each of these interviews, put them out there for people to be able to see. You'll be able to share it, etc. So let's start over.
Okay.
Byron, amazing story of your own, but let's hear about the people of Indiana State Senate District 43.
Okay, so where I left off, we were just recapping the district boundaries. I am running in the 43rd Senate District. I like to say Indiana looks like a giant foot. We are in the hill. So I have all of Scott County, all of Jefferson County. I have Switzerland, Ohio, Dearborn, and half of Jennings County. So in my district, we're very broad, we're very rural. We encompass a large majority of the Ohio River Valley. So I think very much to talk about the economic values that are impacted by the Ohio River Valley is something that presses on a lot of my constituents' hearts and minds. Talking about their crop insurance, I have a very large agrarian community. Going to bat for farmers is a really big issue. So yeah, there's a large aging population in my district. And I think that it's beautiful and great that the state's budget is doing good things for public infrastructure. But when you live in parts of my district like Switzerland County, where the nearest hospital can be an hour away, that can be life-threatening. And when your life is threatened, it could be life or death, literally, because of some of these decisions that we're making.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. So, and the makeup in terms of cities, you have Austin and Scottsburg in there, right? And
so
these...
I have Austin, Scottsburg, Madison, VV, Aurora, Rising Sun. I have Vernon, but I don't have North Vernon. Thanks again to the supermajority. So,
and when you say that, let's talk about that, the supermajority. You're talking about gerrymandering, essentially, of the state map in Indiana, which Indiana is one of the worst states when it comes to how these districts are drawn for the state senate and reps. Your district is an obvious, I mean, you have to go to like tiny parts of 8 counties. What is it, 7 counties?
Six counties.
6 counties. So it just shows, you know, how is that actually the community that should be voting together? They're, you know, like little bits of of counties and then and others. So and we've been talking a lot about voter suppression in general.
Yeah.
And Indiana being kind of a frog in water, if you will, and a frog in boiling water. That there's a lot of things that have happened along the way for suppression to occur, that it doesn't feel like it's that bad. But in off-year elections, which you're going to be running in, we're 50th in the country in terms of turnout. And so if you just got Democrats to come out, if you just got progressives to come out, moderates, right of center who disagree with the current administrations to come out, you have plenty of voters in Indiana to be able to win this election. So this gerrymandering's tough, but it's also an advantage in a way if you can get people out. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So why should people come out and vote for you?
Well, I like to tell people, I'm not running. I am running to be your next state senator. I'm not running to be the Democratic nominee. I don't have a Republican agenda. I do not have a Democrat agenda. I have a Southern Indiana agenda. And whether that comes to ensuring that your crop insurance is taken care of in a time that large parts of my district are dealing with unprecedented flooding, or whether it's public infrastructure, ensuring that vulnerable populations have access to OB departments. So where I live in Scott County, we have no OB department. I don't care who gets credit. I just want to see everybody do better. And that is not a Democrat platform. It's not a Republican platform. It's a Hoosier platform.
Yeah. So
your district's a very good example of that, or where Scott County is, of the access to healthcare is not up to par in Indiana. And again, it's one of these things, slow boiling water, a frog in boiling water, where people are like, is it really that bad? And you look at the rest of the country, yes, it's that bad.
Yeah.
We've lost 14 OB programs across the state over the last few years. Hospitals are that may close down. In my district in Indiana 9, we have North Vernon, which is just outside of yours, but people are still relying on that in your district. Salem and Harrison, these hospitals are operating on such razor thin margins that when we remove the Medicaid patients from them, I don't know how these places survive. But also nursing homes that you have in your district are tough as well. But you already are cutting services in your hospital in order to save money, in order to figure it out. Like, what do we do about that at the state level?
I think that a necessary ingredient in a recipe for success and just improving health outcomes in a broad sense is just working harder with Medicaid eligibility. We have an amazing program for those listening. If you help anybody with health insurance, it's called Covering Kids and Families, and it serves all 92 counties. We are lucky to have a CKF grant in Scott County. So if anybody's familiar, your viewers, with what Scott County has had to deal with from a public health standpoint.
Tell them. Many people might not be,
sure.
Or it might ring a bell once you start telling the story.
So being a son of Austin, dealing with addiction, drug abuse has been an incredibly personal, intimate issue for my constituents, as it is for many areas of Southern Indiana. We had, in 2015, we had more HIV than Lower Manhattan because of the social exchange of syringes. That is more than Carolyn Maloney's district when she served Manhattan in the U.S. House. One of the biggest discrepancies that was evident through that conversation was, yes, that people are sick and we need to take more preventative measures, but there is also a large barrier to access to healthcare coverage as it is. Our state health commissioner then, under the Pence administration, came to Scott County, worked with Terry Gooden, worked with many people in the state house who represented us at the state level on this issue, and said, why are there not more people working to get people who live in poverty, who live in rural communities, opportunities for health coverage programs? And from that, we have seen that prevention does pay off.
Yeah.
We're lucky in Indiana to have presumptive eligibility through Medicaid, which gives people that immediate care. It is for that single mother who is dealing with opioid abuse or dealing with addiction, gets her immediate access to medically assisted treatment. As your state senator, or for the people of the 43rd district, I want to see that people who deal with that issue, yes, are able to get into recovery, but also to get into quality health insurance. So that our goal should be, as a General Assembly, to make our communities more strong and resilient so they can appropriately.
Yeah.
And in Indiana, the Conservative Party tells a lot of that local government matters and small government ideas. Well, why don't we just empower local communities to lead on that issue by giving them accesses and resiliency so that they don't have to call on the help of people like that? It should be a guaranteed thing, and it's something that we can achieve.
Yeah.
It's access to coverage is a really big issue. It's something that a lot of people, regardless of their skills, qualifications, demographics, just don't know that the services are out.
Sure.
So we got to make sure that we got to do better on that.
And the way the Big Beautiful Bill works on Medicaid, for so many people, it's going to make paperwork a whole lot harder, right? You're going to have to say why you're eligible for Medicaid twice a year rather than once a year. They're moving the enrollment from January 15th to December 15th, which means if you've been enrolling in Medicaid, did I say Medicare? Medicaid your entire life, at the end of the year, now you might miss that deadline without even knowing it. Like, not a lot of people necessarily know the details of that bill or why so many people will be losing Medicaid. It's simply because they're making it harder to access it. The state could do something about that, right? The state can be able to make it easier to do this paperwork, to help people through it. A lot of people have a lot of other things going on in their life, especially those who are struggling with poverty or health problems. And I think there's room at the state level for you to help us there too.
And I think an important takeaway from this conversation is that things that you and I mentioning cost the state of Indiana and the taxpayers nothing. Standing up for people and giving them representation on this issue costs absolutely nothing from an appropriation standpoint.
Got it.
So I think, and that is true of many quality of life conversations. So, on this issue, public health, for our constituents, we just got to do better broadband across the board there. But yeah, I'm grateful to be in this. I'm grateful, to really take the time to listen to what is on people's hearts and minds and to ultimately express what is vulnerable about the human condition as their candidate. Many people tell me they don't know who the representative is or who their state senator is. So come January of 2027, when we take our fight to the Indiana State House, I promise you'll know who I am. And I vow to the people that not just legislatively, not from a committee standpoint, but from a constituent service side, I'm ready to restore quality representation to District 43.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Before we move on to Terry Gooden, it looks like is here, also someone who's represented your area. Can you tell us a little bit about your story? How you got into this? What's it all about?
Ultimately, being a son of Austin, Indiana is a big reason why. Talking about what we mentioned in this conversation, but also being the mother or the son of a single mother who really dealt with a lot of social discrepancies, lived through really extreme health conditions, was blind. In high school, I worked 2 full-time jobs. I had an 18-hour schedule from the time that I was 14 until my mother passed away. And I look at things like that. I look at how hard I had to fight to get things done to improve the quality of life for my own family. And that's exactly how I'm going to serve people as their state senator.
Okay.
So it's personal for me, not just serving people, but my constituents are my family in many ways. So I look at what weighs on their hearts and minds, what gets them out of bed. And I know that they deserve representation on these issues, regardless of what it is, whether it's something like their crop insurance or, again, it's something like their health coverage. And I think also listening to what their special reason is, what is their why and what is their story also helps us as candidates be more qualified to represent them on those things. So keep showing up, folks. Listening to these conversations. I'm here to do anything I can.
And how do people find you?
So you can find me. I'm on Facebook. It is Byron Holland for State Senate. I'm on TikTok. It is Holland for Hoosiers. My website will be going live just the next week, so I'm really excited about that. Or by cell phone. I'll give your viewers my cell phone. It's 812-722-8051.
We call that the Hamilton around here. Use your cell phone.
Absolutely. I like to tell people it's not a bad time to get a hold of me. Day or night, if it's on your heart, it's on your mind, it's important to you, it's important to me. So I may be out snapping beans, but I promise you, as soon as I get done with that, I will get back to you.
You're a great candidate, Byron. Good person. Thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate you. The one, the only Terry Gooden coming up. Terry, we had some technical problems, so we're now on my phone, but people can hear it, so we're going to look at my little phone right there. Great. Thank you for everything you've done for our state, both on the agricultural level as well as just representative level. Fight the good fight last election cycle. I think we're running more against Donald Trump than you were against Mike Braun.
I think that's probably the best way to put it, Tim, is the fact that when the presidency, if you're running statewide, if you're running in Indiana, you're running against the entire team, right? You get the same ball. I mean, so we all know. It's just different. I'm not going to say it's more difficult, but it's more difficult.
Sure, that's great. Right. So, okay, so for people who don't know you, you want to give us your story,
so I look into the camera here, and Terry Gooden was state representative for 20 years here in Southern Indiana, and I am a school superintendent now, interim. So I spent 32 years in the public schools, 24 of that as a public school superintendent in the same time I mentioned earlier, as a state representative. So I've got a lot of public service, and I always say this: my most important job is I'm dad. Right. So I've got 3 kids at home, and and they're here in just a little bit because the ball game's called. All right. Yeah. So you'll learn that. Yeah. So but most importantly, probably of all this, I'm a proud Hoosier, and I appreciate the state of Indiana, what they've given me, what it gives me, and I want to make sure I give back. And the state of Indiana's been headed in the wrong direction now for a pretty good time, and it's time to try to make sure we get a hold of the wheel and take it back and start steering it in the right direction.
One of the things we've been talking a lot about on this podcast, especially this week, we've always been doing it, but it's just ramped up because of the gerrymandering effort in the state house right now, is voter suppression. And so you've been, what years did you represent?
So I was state representative from 2000 to 2020.
2000 to 2020. Okay, so you saw an evolution, and we're looking at it almost historically as kind of a frog in boiling water of people, of various things happening to suppress voting in Indiana, to the point now we're 50th in the country on off-year elections. So this upcoming election, we should expect to be, high 40s or 50s. Yeah. And there's everything from gerrymandering, the maps, which you've had to go through. Your map changed. Yeah, pretty dramatic. So I'd love to hear about what that was like. Anything from that to kind of the state taking control of a lot of what municipalities and counties can do by saying you can't raise the minimum wage if you want to. You can't have stricter landlord rules if you want to. And that just takes the voice away from municipalities and makes it less reason for you to come out and vote for your local people, to straight party ticket voting. We're only one of 6 states that has that. We can't register people within 30 days of the election. We're only one of 15 states that have that. 22 states, you can do it on the day of. You can walk into the polling place and do so. There's also a lot of polling change.
Hey, looks like sound is bad. I think Tim had to switch from his computer to his phone, and we are going to track down another computer, and then we're going to be back.